Hey guys, we are separated. No, we are just long distance for this episode. I am at my home and Dea is
Oh, I'm somewhere. I haven't decided just yet.
I for the benefit of the listener, I am currently using a backdrop on a Zoom call that has put me in an aurora borealis. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Northern Lights.
I'm
For
smart.
the listener, I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah. Where would you rather be, listener? That's what I thought.
In my
Again, again.
kitchen, because I'm a good cook. Yeah. Instead of out there in the cold, getting
You're not a,
ill.
listen, you're not a bad cook, but you're definitely not known for cooking.
No, I'm known for these fat tits. Anyway, I can't tell if you're laughing or if you're just waiting for me to like elaborate or go
No,
on.
no, I was laughing.
Okay. We're literally their podcast, and today we're celebrating Christmas with you, the viewer, in your house, in your ears.
From our homes to yours.
Yeah. Or wherever you listen to this. Do you listen to this at work? Why are you working? Go home, it's fucking cold.
Don't do a job. This is for unemployed people.
Exactly, exactly.
Most of our listeners got jobs recently.
I know.
That is actually crazy. People like that have full-time jobs listen to us.
Oh,
Okay. Well, it is December, so we did a Christmas movie, did we not?
that is right. We
And that
we've
movie
done
is,
There's Something in the Barn from 2023.
it is a Norwegian comedy horror,
Yes, it is. Um,
which I thought was cool because it's actually by a Norwegian director.
I feel like this is the second time. I feel like Dead Snow was Norway as well. We've gone there twice now.
Which is cool when you have like American main actors, although I don't know if they were American. They were playing American.
Do you know what? This is something I will mention later, but I'm not quite sure they are all, or at least the scriptwriter wasn't, because of something that happens later.
Okay. Oh, I think I know what. Yeah, I did look it up. The director, I believe, is from Norway, though.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's,
pretty fun.
yeah. It did feel like an American film that was based in Norway, but it apparently not.
Yeah. So, have you been good this year? What do you want for Christmas?
Um, World Peace.
Oh, that's so nice.
What do you want for Christmas?
I want better lighting and a haircut.
Spoiler-free synopsis. Woo!
Yes. An American family inherits a cabin in Norway, but something lurking in their barn threatens to destroy their new life.
Ooh, spooky. What could
Ooh.
this be about?
Can I just say before we start the movie, when the logos were coming up, I completely forgot that Sony made movies that weren't like Spider-Man.
Interesting. I knew they did. I just thought they stopped like 10 years ago.
I don't know, I just assumed that they just didn't do that anymore. But apparently they do.
Fun facts for Christmas.
Yeah, fun fact for Christmas. So,
We're trying, guys.
this is like such a weird setup right now. Let us know how we
Yeah.
can fix this. On Boxing Day, what you need to do is you need to rewatch this episode multiple times and then just write down everything we could fix. Um, Preferably when you're hungover from Christmas, and then send it to us, and we'll know how to be better.
Exactly. If we're not better, it's because you didn't tell us how to be. It's your fault.
It's your fault that we're shit.
I feel better now that the truth is out.
I'm glad you
Okay,
feel better.
everything from here on will be spoilers. So if you
Yes.
want to go watch the film, don't listen. But you know you don't want to watch the film, just listen to us. Come on.
The film wasn't that good. It's all right. You guys can listen to us.
Yeah, it wasn't bad though, but our version will be better.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Right, so we are starting this film off, and this fella is trying to destroy a barn,
Mhm.
but
An
he
older
uses a tra
man.
yeah, an old guy, he's trying to destroy his barn, and he's trying to use a tractor to kind of pull it apart, but then he opens the hood of the tractor and someone has cut the wires. So then he's like, fuck it, I'll just burn the shit down. So he starts pouring gasoline everywhere.
Like on the barn.
Yeah. But the thing is that he gets distracted. He gets distracted while he's pouring the gasoline around because he sees a wheelbarrow with a bear trap in it, and the bear trap is open, and he just sticks his finger in it just to see if what will happen. And the bear trap closes, and he's like, oh, what are you doing?
I fully thought it was a pram.
I don't know, I thought it was a wheelbarrow.
It might have been, but I fully thought it was a pram.
I can't
Maybe
tell you. I
I'm
had to watch this
ovulating.
movie. I had to watch this movie in chunks because the very reputable website I was watching it on kept kept disrupting, and so I had to come back and refresh the page, and like I can't like I finished the movie 10 minutes ago, and I started yesterday. I started yesterday.
Okay, well, I finished the movie 2 days ago, so it's not as fresh
Okay.
in my mind. So,
To be fair, you probably still probably remember it better than I do because you watched it in one sitting.
yeah, we have one job. We have one job, and
And we're
it's to
really
watch the
shit at
film.
it. We missed all of November. But we're here for
No,
Christmas.
we didn't because we didn't.
That's true. Our first thing that we recorded in November should be out by the time this episode comes out, which, because it's the future, I can tell you that it is our YouTube episode where we watch Terrifier with you, the viewer.
Well, you
So
watched
you
it with
sit.
us
Yeah. So,
last half full.
go onto our YouTube channel and look up Terrifier Watch Party or whatever I called it, and join us because we both know you're too much of a pussy to watch it on your own.
You know, she's right. But anyway, speaking of pussies, the old man gets distracted by this wheelbarrow or pram with a bear trap in it, and he for some reason puts his hand in it, and when it snaps, he's like, proper like Marilyn Monroe like jewelry
Really
box scene.
shook.
But then he like tries to climb to the top of the barn, but then like whatever is after him has Home Alone style rigged a flaming tire to swing down and knock him out the window,
It was really
setting this
funny.
man on fire, even though he fell into snow. And then
Can I just
he
say
sort of,
he literally he walks up the ladder, right? And he stands there. Like, you know when you like when someone on stage is late and so the actor is just kind of waiting for their cue for like 2 minutes and they're just there like, and now, and then the flaming tire hits.
100%,
Like they really
he
fucked the
wanted to
edit on this
die.
one because he's like fully there, like looking around the bar, like, what? And then you see the tire behind him, but it's not like a tense way. And then suddenly just swing and he's out and he's fallen out the window.
And he burns to death.
He does. He walks around on fire for a little while as well, so I wasn't sure he was dead for a while.
To be fair, I did too. I thought like maybe you might see him like in hospital, but he's dead. Point is, he's dead.
He's dead.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And then we cut to morning. It's a bright day, and there is a car that seems to be on some sort of road trip.
Yeah.
In the interior of this car, there is a father, mother, son, and daughter, and they are Americans who have just moved to Norway.
The dad and the mum seem very happy about it. The daughter seems pissed off because she's moved halfway across the world. Fair enough. And the son, he don't give a shit.
Yeah, they were like typical stereotypes. The teenage daughter was moody, and the younger brother was curious. I will say the daughter was like, "Ugh, I can't wait for global warming to hurry up and take us all out." But like,
Oh
she
my
was
God,
definitely
yes.
at this point in the film, she was not upset enough about the fact that their lives had moved across the world. Like,
I don't
in
know.
my
I feel like
opinion.
there's a part of me that's like, you're moving to Norway, you should expect it to be fucking cold. But at the same time, it's like this is like on every like top list of the most beautiful places on the planet, and you're like, I just want it to be ruined so that I don't have so that I can have like California weather back.
I would be the same though if I was moved away from home.
Yeah.
Like I'll
I
enjoy
can
it
see
for a
why they were
holiday,
pissed.
but
Yeah.
she wasn't pissed enough. She was not pissed enough. She was like, I'm like, your whole life got uprooted. Be pissed. It gets a
Take the
little better
seat.
later on.
Cry until you vomit. Come on, do something.
Exactly. Threatened to kill herself.
Yeah.
She probably did that all in America though.
Yeah. Maybe she did it on the flight so that she could get it all out the way before she got to Norway.
Also, tell me why the mum is like so out of the dad's league.
Oh my God, yeah. I was thinking about this. He's like this kind of nerds with like like his hair just that didn't grow right, and he's just kind of bumbling. This
Yeah.
entire
You
movie,
know
he's
what?
just bumbling.
I've got a great way to describe him is like think of Keanu Reeves. And you know how Keanu Reeves is on a thin line of like attractive or ugly, and he's on the attractive side of that thin line?
Yeah.
This dad is the Keanu Reeves if he was on the ugly side of that same thin line.
He's not entirely terrible looking, but if you look at the mum and then you look at him and you're like, how, like, it's Peter Griffin and Lois.
Also, she looks like 8 years younger than him.
I reckon she probably is.
Yeah,
She definitely.
yeah. But don't worry, guys, it makes sense because we find out that she's actually the stepmother.
Yes, yes. But this is actually a year after the guy who got burned up in the barn. They've moved here a year later. And then they see a moose. And the dad goes, "Oh my God, it's a moose," just like on the sign.
Which, oh, mind you, the sign. So they're literally driving and they see a
Yeah.
moose sign. And so they think, oh my God, have you ever seen a moose on a sign? They pull over to get photos, family photos with the moose sign. Like it's the most fascinating thing in the world. But then they do see a real moose.
But you know what? This is the thing though, because I Googled, I said, I swear there's mooses in America. And I Google it, and I'm like, yeah, it's all in the like northern states. It's not in California where they're from.
Yeah.
But there is moose from like top of America through to Canada, through to Alaska. Like there's moose on that whole fucking bit, let alone all the other dangerous creatures you have in America. Like,
hmm
should you really be like that? You know what I mean? Invested in a moose?
Like
But it
I
was a
got it
cute,
when they saw the moose, but when they
yeah.
just saw the sign, they pulled over for a moose sign. Also, you live here now. You're gonna see them all the time. Like, I don't know, it was just such like American like
To be fair,
stupidity to see a moose sign.
they did say that they were going to use it as family picture for like Christmas cards, and I'm like, okay, I can see why would be cute.
There were beautiful like mountain tops. There were
Yeah,
beautiful hillside trees, views down to the city. There were so many beautiful backdrops, and they'd pick a moose sign.
yeah.
Mind you, the moose sign is there not only because, oh, be careful, don't like, hit the mooses, but it's also be careful, the mooses will hit you. So
No,
why
I
would they
remember
not heed
this.
the warning?
Literally, no, because I remember you were going to Canada, and I was like, you have to be careful of the moose because they're more dangerous than anything else there.
Yeah, I'm terrified
Because
of
moose,
mooses.
they're crazy.
They're so big.
Yeah. I would
hmm
not go near a moose. I do not give a shit how cute it is. I'm not going near it.
I wonder if there's a moose fairy.
Oh, there definitely is.
I could imagine like with really cool, like really big antlers.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like reindeer mascots out there, aren't furries basically just mascots?
That's true. You know what, you're right. I just thought about that. I was like, they're always just like some sort of little tiger or something or a dog, and I'm like,
They all want to be
moose.
foxes and wolves, but none of them want to be moose.
Who wants to be the moose? We can't all be the foxes.
We can't all be the foxes or the bunnies or the wolves with the blue haired cuts. One of us
Everyone
has
wants to
to
be the
be the
fox.
moose.
You know what, Dea? I'll be the moose.
You'll be the moose.
I'll take one for the team.
You're so strong. Thank you for your
I'm not.
service.
I'm not as strong as you think. Wait. So they're freaked out by the moose. Another moose turns up, who is bigger
Yeah.
than the moose they just saw.
Because it
They
was a baby
realize,
moose that they were approaching. And it's like you were approaching the baby moose and the mum moose is right there. And I'm just thinking, I've seen one David Attenborough thing about this 10 years ago, and it said, do not fuck with moose.
hmm
Do not go near the babies.
I mean, I've seen mothers on buses getting into scraps over their babies, so that was enough for me to know. Don't mess with a mother and her baby.
Madness. Anyway, then they run back into their car, and the moose is like outside the window. And then,
Does a
but
little
it
jump
gets,
scare,
yeah, that was quite funny. But then the moose gets scared away by the police lights because the policewoman of the town has driven up behind them.
and she's very matter of fact. I love the policewoman.
She's
She
so
was
funny in this movie.
she said something. She said, that's the thing about what she said, that's the thing about nature. If you mess with nature, it'll punch you in the face.
Norwegians learned that from a young age.
But it was just so straight to it's like, well, if you mess with nature, it'll punch you in the face, like
Yeah.
straight up.
Don't fuck with
Just
nature.
don't. So I loved her.
She was so funny. This whole movie, like I was like, when is she coming back?
She kept making fun of the Americans too, which I loved.
Yeah. Then they arrive at their new house, their new cabin, and it's surprisingly modern, but it looks pretty good, you know?
Yeah. It's very modern actually. It looks like it was like newly renovated. It's beautiful. It looks like it's got fresh like coat of paint. It's massive. And we also find out that they inherited this house. And he inherited it from his great uncle.
From he said uncle, but I'm assuming it was a great uncle or something because he didn't
Okay.
seem that connected to that side of the family,
Hmm.
even though he spoke about Norway a lot. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like he'd ever met the fella, you know? They run around and they explore the house a lot. The boy picks his bedroom, and the girl she just kind of mopes around. And then they explore the barn as well.
Yeah, the big beautiful barn, and the father's sort of like talking to the mother, kind of being like, "Oh, look at the possibilities. You could do so much with this," because she's like an
And then
interior
she's
designer or
like,
something.
"They hate me. I'm their stepmom." And then the boy runs up and he goes, "There's something in the barn."
Oh my
And then
God.
the movie ends.
Oh my God, you scared the shit out of me. Oh, woo! Jump scare.
He runs up and there's something in the barn because he found like he saw chains rattling in the barn. And they're like, it was just the wind. And he was like, oh, okay then. And he just accepts it.
Yeah. Although they all just seem so curious about it. Again, I still felt like they were too chill about this, especially the
Yeah.
teenage like daughter at this point. Because again, your entire life has been moved across the world. How are you not like scratching your father's eyes out? Is it just
Yeah.
me?
Typically, when it comes to these like moving into a haunted slash infested house with monsters and stuff movies, right? I kind of I'm a little bit like at the kids because I'm like, you're moving like 2 states away. Like, don't Americans travel that far to go to school or some shit? I don't know. They told me they travel really long distances. And it's like you can still visit them on holidays and stuff. But this one was so fucking valid. I'm like, yeah, you should be really fucking pissed all the time because you're not gonna be able to visit your friend anymore. You know what I mean? That often.
It's not even like there was much advantage to it. Like you live in the middle of nowhere now. Like it's not just that you losing your friends, you're losing whatever. You're living an entirely different lifestyle.
You
There
have
is
to learn a
no
new
one you know
language.
there, a new language, and you live in the middle of nowhere.
And the thing is that it's like usually in these type of movies, the parents kind of empathize a little bit. They're like, I'm sorry we had to move, but um, but this is what we needed to do, blah blah blah. In this movie, they just dismiss her isolation entirely. They're like, why are you complaining? Like, shut the fuck up.
Actually terrible. But
Yeah.
after, a bit of exploring, it's nighttime. Everyone pretty much heads to bed. It looks out of his
No, they
bedroom
don't head to
window.
bed. They try and go to see the Northern Lights, and the clouds cover. They're sitting on this balcony, and they're like, right, guys, the great Northern Lights. And they look up, and it's just like cloudy.
I feel like this is the one thing the father came for, and he was like really disappointed.
It was really funny. And the door was like, I think I'm just gonna go to bed.
I would have had it at that point though. That would be when I would have snapped as a teenage daughter. You're telling me
You're like,
like
I
all
moved
this
my
time
whole
we're
family here,
traveling.
and there's no fucking lights.
That's how I would feel. It's like you've moved me here, you moved me away from my friends, like everything I know, blah blah blah. And then he's all, look at the lights, look at the lights. And I'd look up and I'd see nothing but clouds that I could have seen back home in California or whatever. I
Do
would have
they have clouds
snapped.
in
I would
California?
have been the something in the barn.
They go to bed, and when the sun is kind of drawing his curtains, he sees the like little eyes looking out from in the barn.
Glowing eyes.
Yeah. And he's just like, probably nothing. But he was
That
shit
was a
scared.
really great sound effect, by the way. I love that sound effect.
I'm
Really good.
really like getting into like sound effects now that like we're not together. You know what I mean? Like
Like
it
Foley.
fills the void a little bit.
He does. I don't feel so alone.
Yeah. So I can make and noises all the time.
Oh,
Does it
mine
help you
sounds
feel
good.
less alone?
No, I'm still in the middle of the woods.
Or maybe Andrew
Yeah.
can help you. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm not alone. No, they wake up the next day and they head to the closest town. It's a very small, cutesy town. It's
Oh, it's so
snowy.
cute.
The little buildings look really adorable. They're colorful, sweet. The son sort of wanders off from the main family and they just don't give a fuck.
No, it's Norway. What's gonna happen to him?
But they don't know that. They come from fucking California. Like, they don't know that. They should.
They say later in the movie nothing bad ever happens in Norway, so I'm assuming they assumed it was fine.
No, but I'm sorry. As someone who was raised in a city, as you were, you do
Yeah.
not day one in another country. I don't care how safe someone says it is. Day one, I suddenly lose the instinct of looking after my child. No.
We I know that, and you know that, and
Ooh.
the viewer they know that because they're clever. Um, but they're Americans,
Yeah.
so they don't think about that. They just kind of assumed Norway was this like snowy paradise where nothing bad ever happened.
Hmm.
The boy runs into this little museum area called Nisseland. Now, if you don't know what a Nissa is, it's a kind of Scandinavian like elf that lives in your house. They're kind of like Santa's little helpers, except they just cause like mischief and they're like your little buddies. They just kind of vibe. They wear little
Although
pointy hats and like eat porridge.
Although the leader of the museum starts talking to the little boy and he asks about like, what are these little guys? And he explains a version that's a little bit more temperamental. I think that
Yeah.
different cultures in Scandinavia basically have
Yeah,
slightly different takes on it.
yeah, I'm assuming the thing is though, like the version in this one, because I grew up like knowing about Nisseman and stuff because my family's Danish, but every piece of media that I've consumed that has Nissemen in them, even like different stories I've been told, have like slightly different lore to it. So I just kind
Mm.
of assumed it wasn't like a Norwegian thing. I assumed it was just like a this movie thing.
Well, see, I didn't think it was a Norwegian thing either. I thought it was just for the benefit of the movie.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say that like it kind of works just because I don't think there's one singular take, and I think that like so you get away with it.
Oh, fully, yeah. There's like so many different takes on Nisseman. It's like crazy. But
But he
they have
basically
rule.
says he says that they actually like look after the farm if you treat them right, but if you
Yeah.
upset them, they'll get mad. And then the boy says, "How do I upset them?" And that's when the three rules come in, which is essentially that they don't like artificial light, they don't like changes like to their home, and they do not like noise, unnecessary noise.
They just like me for real. But what's interesting in this part of the film, and it was in the title sequence as well that I just forgot to mention, is they use a remixed version of a traditional Scandinavian song about Nissemen. And I just thought that was so cute. It was like creepy version. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called Nisseland Tales, which is the version in this movie. But it uses the kind of what's it called? The notes from a song called I think it's called Nissen sidder på juletop or some shit. I don't not remember. Like when you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, it's just a creepy like soundtrack and stuff. But then when you know the like kind of lore or you've heard the song before, you kind of just it's just something extra that adds to it. And I love it when movies do stuff like that. And it makes me feel like they like put more effort into it than I give them credit for later on in the film. But they do use a lot of like what's it called? Like licensed music a lot as well. But I'm assuming that's a
Mhm.
Sony thing.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. I thought the same because it didn't seem like a small budget film at all, but I was surprised by some of the songs they had licensed. And then it was like, oh, Sony, that's how. I will say that when I heard the rules and it was like no artificial light, no changes, and no loud noises, and I was like, these Americans stand no chance. They're
No, they
basically just like
Americans love
anti-American.
that shit.
And that's kind of the plot of the film, to be honest.
Whilst the little boy is having this conversation with the guy who runs the museum, and he says nobody comes to the museum, which I'm like, how
Yeah.
is it still open?
Well, it's such a small town. I don't think people actually have to work. I think they just have jobs for fun. Cute little pretend like it's like when you play like Roblox, role play games that you just like pretend you like work at a pizza place.
Oh yeah, RP, Norway, RP.
Genuinely.
I like the idea that at the end of the movie they'll just go, and this was all LARP. Can everyone turn in your weapons and just sign in the sheet saying that you won't sue us if you got injured?
And the
Yeah.
Americans just like, what? We kill bitches. Anyway, we'll get to that. But the family was at the cafe during this conversation. Nothing really
Yeah.
interesting happens at the cafe, does it?
No, they try and make friends, and they keep showing this one guy who seems really uninterested. His name is Raymond or Raman, and Raman, um, and he's like completely uninterested. He's like drinking, and they're like, "Look, this is what we're gonna do with our new cabin." And it's and it's like, okay, so you find out why the Americans are there. It's just kind of like an exposition dump. You find out the Americans are there to build a B&B using the old
Hmm.
barn. And you find out that the stepmom was like a life coach, and she had this thing called Happy Vision, which is a red flag.
Yeah,
Life coach is a red flag.
definitely red flag. But eventually they realize the child is missing, so they got to pick him up. And the mother picks up the son from the museum leader and says, "Oh, hello. Um, my name's so and so. Happy Vision, bitch. We just moved into the so and so house." And when he realizes what house that they just moved into, the
Yeah,
museum leader like has a weird reaction. He's like, "Oh," like he seems worried, shocked,
yeah,
like he knows something. And we're just a bit like, "Okay, what's it about this house?" I mean, we
yeah.
already know something weird about this house, but like, he knows something. Do people here know something?
But he also tells the boy that Nissamen are real. That's important that they're real, even though this guy is clearly like humoring a child because they're not real guys. I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
sorry to tell you.
Well, maybe they are.
Maybe they are. Maybe I'm just haven't seen them. I'm not worthy.
Exactly. They head home, and the next big event to happen is basically the son goes into the barn. Like immediately, he's like, "Oh, Nisterman, let
I'm
me
gonna
look."
find this Nissa.
He fully does. He says, "Hey, are you in here? Scuttle, 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 scuttle. Are you? I'm a friend. Hello, scuttle, scuttle." And that's where, in the shadows and the darkness, this little pointed hat figure comes forward, and it's a little Nisterman.
Yeah. He doesn't look different from a human. He's just a little person with a big beard and a red pointy hat. But
Yeah.
magic. But magical. You have to remember that.
He does have some SFX in his face that just makes him a bit unrealistically wrinkled in like a jolly way.
But he's
Besides that,
very
he does
cute,
look
I
like a
think.
4 foot human.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cute. Like how an old man is cute, but then even cuter.
Yeah, definitely. And the little boy he makes friends with the Nisman by giving him cookies. Which to anyone watching is also a good way to befriend us.
I love cookies. Oh, I'm a white chocolate chip.
I actually did. I googled the name of the song that they use in the movie, by the way. It is called, right? Forgive my awful pronunciation. Danish is my second language. På loftet sidder nissen med sin julegrød, which means the nisseman sits high up with his porridge. Yeah, we sing it
Um,
at Christmas. It's very fun.
Speaking of with his food, um, where we left off is the boy in the barn giving cookies to that little man, little cute
Yeah,
little Nisman, and he yams on the cookie, kind of like ferally, like and his stomach growls as well. So the boy gives him another cookie.
that's
So
not
you
gonna
have
fill
the
him up.
no, definitely not. But he's also a child. What does he know?
Give that man a ham sandwich.
I think they only
Come
like
back
sweet
with some
things.
rugbrød. Come on.
They only like sweet things, girl.
Oh, okay, fine. They have sweets in Norway.
But the boy doesn't know that yet. He just moved there, okay?
Oh yeah, true. He thinks he's gonna have to live off of that pickled fish they eat later in the film for the rest of his life.
We'll get to that later. Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. He feeds the Nisman, and then it cuts to the daughter who's on a video call, much like we are now, to her
Hmm.
friend back in California.
Crying her eyes out. Finally, by the way,
Yeah.
finally, she finally actually looks like the adequate amount of emotion that should be put to this big of a life change.
And she just doesn't feel like maybe she just doesn't feel like she can confide in her parents, you know? I feel like
Hmm.
so far the dad's been pretty bumbling and kind of not really that present, and the stepmom, I guess, has been definitely the better parent of the two from what I've seen. At least she like cares about their safety and stuff more. But I'm assuming to a child it'll probably be unwelcome, or a teenager that'd be kind of unwelcome, you know?
I mean, especially because the help isn't even like, so she's on this phone call with her American friend and it glitches out because of like the bad reception. It cuts
Yeah,
out. And then the stepmom comes to check on her. And that's when
yeah.
she's like, I have this thing I call Happy Vision.
Oh my God.
I think it could really help you.
She's trying to get a new
She's
client.
It's such life coach bullshit because she just like renames manifesting. I don't, we're not here to give opinions on manifesting, but the point is that she just renames manifesting. She just goes, you just think about what you really want and you think it into existence.
What is a life coach? Because I still don't know.
I don't know either. Like when I was a kid, I thought it was someone that like came into your room and like screamed at you till you got out of bed and like was like, "Shut up, Beatrice, do your
Oh my God,
laundry."
I can kind of use one of those. That'd be fab.
But that's not what they are. They're just sort of like, I believe in you, go girl. They just like try to give you like the support that you don't get from like your family or your.
Oh, I see. I guess I never really had to know that.
I don't know. Maybe they motivate you. Maybe there's just a bunch of motivation posters just as a
I don't know. I
person.
always kind of assumed they were like scammers who would sell like online courses to like vulnerable people. Like, isn't
Oh yeah,
Andrew Tate a life coach technically or some shit?
probably, girl. Yes, but I
I
think you
don't
had to
know.
get a life to be able to coach one.
Ow.
Oh,
Burn. Um,
I hate that. No, but fuck the fucking life coach, mom. That would have, again, I keep talking about things that would have sent me over the edge. Fucking happy vision. Girl, I'm not, okay. I've been so dramatic about how the daughter reacted this whole time, but if I would have killed myself.
You're
I would just kill. No, I would have, unless I found like a really cute Norwegian guy. But if I didn't, because I don't know if they have hot guys there, do they? If they don't, I would kill myself. That's the one thing that
You
probably
can
could make
build one
me
out of
live.
snow, like in Hot Frosty. It's fine.
I don't have fucking magic scarf, girl.
I don't know.
I
I just
just got a magic little man.
yeah, there you go. She can have a Nissa man.
They're not cute though, not like that. I'm telling you. I would have killed myself.
Just to make her feel
Do
bad, you
you?
just kill yourself. Just so she'd feel shit afterwards for moving you there.
Oh yeah. Oh, imagine the trauma. She's like, she's happy for shit to get over it. I like proper blame it on her
Suicide
too,
note,
you
you
know what I
blame
mean?
her like 7 times. You write her name out specifically in like
Oh
red.
yes. Oh yeah.
One
Or
of
do
those.
damage.
Oh, girl, she might join you in hell. Are you sure you want that?
We'll
You're
be
so.
different parts of hell. Okay, I'll be in the gay bit, she'll be in the life coach bit.
Oh God, yeah, that's true.
Sounds like
Different circles, different circles. Yeah,
God,
but then
imagine how
this
it
is this.
interfered with their school as well. Like Jesus.
They have school in Norway, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know, but interfere with their school, not say like got rid of their school.
Yeah,
She look like she's like the age where it'd be really important. She's like doing her fucking like she's probably a senior, she's doing her finals and shit. Like,
I guess so. I don't know. I
oh, being
personally wouldn't
so
move my
inconsiderate.
kids halfway across the planet just for a little bit of vibes. But I
Mm.
don't think I would do what the stepmom does here, which is completely dismiss the isolation this girl is feeling.
You know, some people just don't do well with like the Nista men. Some people just don't do well with change, and if you make them change, they'll kill you. Well, I will at least.
Well, the girl does. The girl seems to be doing better with change than you would.
That's why she's pissing me off though, because she's supposed to be the moody teen. I'm like, you're not moody enough. Like, ugh. And you know why? You know why she's not moody enough?
Why?
Because she doesn't like hate her stepmom.
No, she just thinks she's all right.
Yeah, if she had hatred for her stepmom, I think that would like she'd like be like like shot a glass to the neck, like you did this to me, bitch.
Just like cuts up all her winter coat so she can't leave the house.
That's good. That's a good one.
And then I think it cuts to the next day because it's the morning, and the mum and the dad are chatting, and they're like, "We're gonna throw a party because the Norwegian guys at the cafe, they just kind of ignored the Americans or like stared at them weirdly because these Americans were like, 'Hi there, how are you? We're gonna
Oh
have a
yeah.
yell.'"
To be fair, the family doesn't know about the rules,
Yeah,
but immediately, like day two of being there, and they're gonna break all three. They're gonna throw a
yeah,
big party, have a bunch of artificial lights, a bunch of because they're gonna throw it in the barn as well. So they're gonna
yeah.
decorate the barn, change everything inside, and then also it's a Scandinavian party. It's gonna be loud.
Oh God, yeah. But so they decide to throw a party, and the dad goes and he's like, "All right, well, the snow's not going to clear itself," and then he leaves the house, and then the Nissamen had cleared the snow.
Yeah, and I mean like did a good job. This is like the
He
snow was
scraped it off their
taller
car and
than the
everything.
Nissaman, and he had cleared a track that was like it felt like half a mile long.
He cleared their
That's how
car, he
long.
cleared the way to the barn, he cleared the way to the house. He's making sure all the tools aren't going to get damaged from the water from the snow. Like, he's a kind little guy, and that's just 2 biscuits. Imagine what he would have done if he actually had a proper meal.
Alright. Um, what would you
I was
do for two
thinking home
biscuits?
renovations. I don't know what the
No,
hell
I
you
wanna
would.
I wanna know what you do for two biscuits there.
Well, you what I do for 2 biscuits? Probably not manual labor, I'll tell you that.
Mind you, mind you, it's important to like just show like to like harp on how crazy this like snow clearing was. Like again, the snow was like 5 foot tall, like scraped to the sides. The tunnels of the paths that were like cleared were the width larger than the width of the car, and it was a big American car. The dad just goes, "Hmm, cleared itself. What do you mean it cleared itself?
Oh yeah, and they talk about how maybe it's a public service they offer here in Norway. I'm like, you seriously think a 43-year-old Norwegian man is gonna wake up at the crack of dawn to come and clear your snow for free?
It's such a God, what American fucking mindset to think.
He's like, this is what social democracy is, son. And I'm just like, your son just fed a magical creature to do this for you.
Like, please at least be a little suspicious. Be a
A little
little
bit.
Suspicious.
At least, do you know what I would think? I'd think, oh, maybe a neighbor did it. I should go and ask to see if I can say thank you. But they don't
You
do
just
nothing.
get
They assume that it's just like how things are. I'm like, that's so
because
like
they think they're in a fairy tale.
it's weirdly entitled.
The dad gets in the car and goes, and then that's when we see the son in his bedroom, and then
Mm,
this the man climbs in through the window, real like,
yeah,
and comes over to the boy and is like waiting for more cookies.
absolutely.
Um,
Fair enough, babe. Get your payment. But
but the
join a union
stepmother,
because two cookies is not enough.
it's not. They should know their worth. Like, actually
Absolutely.
not. I wouldn't clear that much snow for two cookies now.
Yeah. And then the stepmom like walks in on, he's like, who are you talking to? And then he's like, no one. And then she's like, oh, okay.
Mind you, the Nissaman like scurries away in like a half a second when she
Yeah.
comes in. So it like really
Also,
shows that they're fast.
yeah. Also, it's really interesting to see how the Nissamen communicate in this because it's almost like they have their own language.
Yeah, it's kind of what I mean. I, I don't know. I think at one point he says maybe they're speaking Norwegian, or at least it's definitely a
But then, yeah,
decrepit version of it. I can't
maybe.
tell if it is just nonsense noise or it's sort of like Norwegian but with like a nonsense like accent on it with it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't speak Norwegian. I wouldn't know. And then we get a montage of Christmas prep. They're putting up lights, they're handing out flyers for their Christmas party, they're like breaking all the rules. They have like their house is just like covered in fucking lights.
Yeah. When they get nervous, they say, "What if no one comes? What if not everyone hates us?" Is what the stepmom says. She says, "What if no one comes to my party? What if no one comes to my party?"
Yeah. And then they turn on the lights, and the Nissa man is like watching from like behind the barn or some shit, and he's just like, and he like falls the fuck over.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and they have this thing where it's like a motion detector Santa. They definitely shipped these decorations from the States because these are not like I don't think I've ever seen anything in Europe like that at all. Not even in England, which is more like
Like
American.
lights like that.
Like the Santa that you move past and it goes Merry Christmas and the
I
huge ass
have seen
fucking
them in parts of the UK.
in parts of the UK. Oh my God.
Yeah, you gotta go to the right parts.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't seen them at all.
I will say, yeah, it's crazy. So, as you said, he has a giant Santa that goes, what does he say? He says, like, Merry Christmas every time you walk past it. The
Yeah,
fucking elf is freaking out. He's like, what the fuck is this? Overwhelmed as
yeah.
fuck.
What have you done
They
to
all
my
go to,
arms?
exactly, they all go to bed, ready for their party. Decorations all done. And then in the night, there's a lot of noise smashing, cracking, ripping, etc., etc., etc. And they awake to
It's
find
just
that all of
carnage.
their decorations ruined. And they can't find
And
Santa, and then they find him, a few steps away, deflated, with his
strung up.
Christmas.
Like making that's a really good noise. You're also really good at making noises.
Thank you.
That was really good. Yeah, and then the dad keeps going, they killed Santa. They killed Santa. And at this point I was like, oh, that's so sad because I have this thing where I don't like seeing Santa get too hurt. Like I don't like the old Family Guy Christmas episode where they beat the shit out of Santa.
No, I
No.
love
But
it.
I'm getting more and more used to it because I really liked Violent Night last year. But it's something about like the way the dad's joy just completely got crushed by the elf destroying the Christmas decorations that I was just like, oh,
You sound like someone who always got what they wanted from Santa.
I didn't because we were poor. But also I wanted some weird shit. Um anyway,
Two cookies worth of weird shit. Listen, oh, I can imagine what you wanted, little creep.
I was thinking like niche nerd stuff that my parents couldn't find. But
That's what I
okay.
was thinking too. But okay.
What did you want for Christmas?
I was a quiet child who just wanted to be convenient to my mother, so I tried never to ask for anything too much.
Is that why you won't tell me what you want for Christmas? Because I'm still struggling.
No, that's because now I'm an adult, so I can have anything I want, so I don't know.
I hate you. Sorry, I have to turn you up. Oh, the logistics of recording episodes on Zoom.
Oh, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah. Go on.
You're a bitch.
Oh, I'm a bitch. Thank you so much. I'm glad I turned up my volume so I could hear that. And then
They call the police because which is so funny to me. Stan is dead, Stan is dead. And the police officer from earlier turns up, which we love
Oh,
her,
she's
Slay.
great in this scene as
She
well.
turns up on a snowmobile, which is very cute.
Yep.
And they're like, what do you think this is?" And she's like, "Well, it's probably just some kids like messing around." I think
They
she says
closed down the
school's
youth
out
center.
or something like that. Yeah, the youth center's closed. They got nothing to do, so they're probably just bored. And he's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And she's like, well, nothing." And he's like,
I'm gonna get the
"Well,
forensics down.
yeah." She's like, "I'm gonna get the forensics down. We're gonna take fingerprints, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this." And he's like, "Great." And she's like, "No, what do you think this is? Like, it's
Yeah.
just like a prank." And he's like, "What are you really gonna do?" She's like, "Okay, I'll look into it. Like, I'll look
I'll
into
look
it. Like."
into it. I'll look into it seriously. And then she gets on a snowmobile and she's like, "Oh, it could have been the moose for revenge." And just drives off.
She was
That
so
woman has
cunt
not
for
worked a
that.
day in her life.
No, because
And I'm here for it.
if you love what you do you ever truly what? Oh, that's when, so the mother and the father go into the barn and
Yeah.
they are sort of like talking about decorations, but also talking about the party, setting up for the party too.
They're talking
And
about
we
Happy
see
Vision, and then an attempted murder happens.
the Nisleman, a little elf, is up on the shelf. I genuinely didn't intend that. That's
You
so
think
freaking
you're
lame.
so funny.
I swear I didn't intend that. I didn't intend that. That was so lame. I hate myself. He's up on a,
Wow.
what do you call it, like a platform. Anyway, he rolls a
It's the thing where
barrel.
they keep the hay and the like crates and shit, like storage for the barn. But it's up on a like raised
Not
thing.
everybody knows that. The point is he rolls a barrel off the edge that is going to land on the two parents, but they sort of step out of the way just in time, and they're like,
Yeah, I think the dad gets hit a little bit, but like he
I
don't
think it
die.
does kind of like graze his head, yeah.
To be fair, the
Um,
head injury wouldn't do much damage anyway. Um,
it doesn't. I will say, so the party is now the next day, but they're all sort of getting ready for bed, and we do see a shot of the daughter
yeah.
who is in the house and she's getting herself some juice. And when
And
she closes the cupboard, she sees the reflection of the Nisman in the house, and she drops the glass and she freaks out and she
mhm,
turns around and he's not there, and she sort of rubs her eyes, thinks she's like just tired. She like puts the juice back in the fridge and she goes to bed. But she maybe is a little bit open-minded to it now. I don't know.
yeah, that like doesn't really go many places. I don't know. I think
No, it
is that
doesn't.
the only
Because the
jump
thing is,
scare?
the son before this did mention, "Oh, it's the Nisman," and everyone's just been like laughing him off, like he's basically like a kid saying like, "Oh, it's Santa Claus," you know. So I
Yeah.
thought like when that happened, like, oh, maybe the daughter will start to maybe believe the brother a bit, but nothing really develops with that.
But also, I feel like they casted the son too old.
Really?
I think they should have had it as a smaller kid, because I just think that like I feel like he's like 10, 11, and it's like I don't know. I don't I don't see it. Does that make sense?
Okay. I was fine with it, but I respect your opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he
Um,
was fine. Like he wasn't bad. It's just like,
but the next thing we see is the actual like, well, the next main scene is the Christmas party,
yes. And it's
which is like a
so
Christmas
fucking
dinner.
awkward.
It's a
Yeah.
long table full of the the four
The American
Americans,
family and all of their neighbors and people in the town.
and no one's talking. They're all just eating and no one's talking. And she does say, she says, "Why is no one talking?" And then I think the one Norwegian who's nice to them says, "Oh, they just need a little time to warm up." And then you get a little montage of them snatching beer after beer after beer after beer after beer after beer after beer,
Yeah.
wine, beer, and all of a sudden the
Everyone's
party.
shit-faced. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, I love you, man. You're my best. You're my favorite new neighbor." The mom is is talking to this woman. She's trying to make friends, and the friend is the woman she's talking to is like, "Oh my God, it's so brave that you moved up here." And she's like, "Thank you so much." And then the woman goes, "Yeah, especially because this place is haunted."
She's like, "What? What? Huh?
And then the
Huh?"
daughter is making friends with another Norwegian girl, and the girl is like, she's like, "Your mom lets you drink wine?" And the girl's like, "Well, yeah, because she says I'm gonna get alcohol anyway." And so the girlies, they're getting a little tipsy together. She's finally making an actual friend. And then the stepmom comes up and like decides to have a heart to heart to her because she's fucking drunk. And like
Yes,
ruins.
and that's when so that she's having a heart to heart to her, and she's like, "Oh, I just like I hope you're okay," and like blah 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 wah 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 wah, and that's when she's like, "Is that wine in your glass?" And the daughter's like, "No," and the mother's just like, "Okay." just doesn't question it. Which, if it
I
was
think,
wine, you could smell it.
yeah. But to
Anyway,
be fair, that whole fucking barn probably smelled like what? Do you know what?
she
The
was,
thing
she
is,
was,
is
the mum was probably shit faced.
the mom, she was definitely shit-faced. She was drinking too. The only one who's not really making friends is his son. He just kind of vibing in the corner. Because he's getting a little stressed over the fact that it's so loud and everyone's a shit-faced drunk.
He's just a
Uh,
little overstimulated guy. We do
the
see, by
dad
the
made
way,
a friend too.
oh yes, with one of the big jolly guys who agrees to come round at Christmas dressed as Santa Claus,
He's like, I'm not. He said, I'm alone on Christmas anywhere. I'll just do it. I don't care.
which is so sad. And he was cute, but it was so sad.
Oh,
Um,
even he's your type. That makes sense.
so
Um,
yeah, oh, see, he was the one that would keep me alive. But anyway, so the mother and daughter having the heart to heart, cut to underneath the floorboards. The Nisman is underneath the mother and daughter, looking up at them through the floorboards
oh
and
God.
like spying on them. And that's when the daughter, in the middle of the conversation with the mother, suddenly like starts like gagging and she throws up forward onto the floor and the sick
Onto the
falls through the
listening.
cracks onto the Nisman's face. I'm sorry, it was so funny. He's like spying on them, like, yeah, la, 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 la. And she's just like, "Rrr," like right on his face, just spat his, in a way he doesn't even like, he doesn't get disgusted by it. Like he's not like, what's that? He's sort of just like, da, da, da.
He's just pissed. He's like, he
He keeps looking. That's what he
does.
gets for trying to upskirt them.
What? They're wearing skirts, but okay. Um, then I wrote,
However,
how is she already that drunk? Wine does not like. She must have drank a lot. But then I'm like,
I think she just doesn't usually drink. Like she said, like your parents let you have wine. Like I just don't think,
I
I don't,
guess I don't know.
Also, I
And
don't
then
know.
the mom was like,
The other girl does give her moonshine, but I don't know if she actually drinks any of it then, but she does give it to her then. So she could have
yeah,
also had some moonshine.
fair enough. She could have had moonshine. Don't mix wine and moonshine, peoples. Um.
No, they did
Oh
have
yeah,
moonshine.
and
Oh my
then
God.
the
I
dad also
remember they did have
moonshine.
moonshine.
Okay.
I
Well, the dad
just want to
also
cut.
gets gifted moonshine. He's like, don't stand next to an open flame when you drink this.
Yes.
Everyone is like rowdy as hell. And that it was a good vibe, you know what? Like, love it.
But it was the Nissaman's nightmare. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
absolutely. And then the son, after he sees the vomit and everything, and it gets a bit too much, he goes, the party
And
is
yeah.
over. Yeah,
And the son realizes, oh shit, like the elf is gonna hate this. So
yeah,
obviously everyone in town is around. That means that the museum leader is also around. So the
yeah,
boy sort of pulls him aside in the house and sort of gets an opportunity to ask him about it and says, oh, the elf is really upset. So the guy says, like, what you need to do is make him his porridge.
yeah,
Everything is well as long as the Nissaman gets his porridge on Christmas Eve.
yeah.
He tells him to make the porridge. He says to sprinkle it with cinnamon and put
Butter.
some butter on top, which sounds kind of good.
It's kind of like rice porridge. I don't care for it personally. Um, but in in the song that they reference in this film, it's literally about Anisman eating porridge. So it makes sense in the lore.
Oh, can I just say, oh, one of the funny things about the porridge is that he obviously tells him, oh, you have to make the porridge for Nissaman. And he's like, oh, great, you've solved your problem. And bonus thing is you know what porridge is now.
Oh yeah,
I thought it
because
was
the son
cute.
is like porridge, and he's like, yeah, like you put oats in a bowl with m milk and porridge, and then he's just like, no, the whole time.
But you know what? He's right. Porridge can be good. Porridge can be very boring, but porridge can be good. So, everyone has to bed. The elf sees the mess that the party's left in his barn. So he's looking at the barn and it's covered in broken glass bottles, like alcohol all over the floor, decorations everywhere, people's mess, just like food waste, just everywhere, just absolutely ruined. He's pissed.
Yeah. And then he
Yeah.
decides, he's like, I'm gonna go into their house and I'm gonna smash all their shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
do
he
them
goes,
back to how they did me.
exactly. So he goes into their cupboards and he just smash, smash,
Throws
smash.
out their food, their plates, their cups. He's ruining their kitchen. Mind
Yeah,
you, the parents obviously wake up because they're like, "Are we being burgled?" So they're
yeah.
like, "Oh my God, go downstairs, check on it." And that's when the dad goes down. So obviously the dad always goes first. And
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think he does pick up something as a weapon, but
He picks
he
up a
heads
knife.
downstairs. That's it, into the kitchen, and he sees the mess, but he doesn't see. who did it, but we see the Nissamen sort of like sprinting behind him like very quickly in a way that the
Yeah,
father doesn't notice. And then he hears a noise from the basement. So he walks over to the basement door, which is open. Um, and he crouches down to look down into the basement. And that's when the Nissaman comes up from behind him and pushes him down the basement stairs and slams the
yeah,
door shut. Obviously, Prime Protector's gone. So then the stepmother's like, damn, I'm next
yeah.
up. So she heads downstairs to the messy kitchen and she picks up a frozen leg of lamb as
Oh
a
my God,
weapon. That's
yeah,
her choice of weapon for some fucking reason. And then this woman is crawling behind her, sort of like very cutely, very, you know, was it the Pink Panther? Very like da 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 like crawling behind her, holding a little mini axe. It was very cute. But obviously he's
yeah,
about to fucking chop the bitch with the axe. But
yeah.
then right before he does, I think it's the daughter,
Or the son, I can't
um,
remember.
yeah, one of them sort of like turns on the light and is like, "What's going on?" And then this man, like, you just hear his little feet go pitter patter away,
Yeah.
and he's gone. Before the light was even on, he was gone. Like that's how quick this bitch is, which is very
He is a
scary to think
soft
about.
lighting girly. He does not like the big light on. He only likes the soft lights on.
He said midlights only. He said not even. He said natural light, nothing but fireplaces. I can't remember. Do they even call the police?
Yes, they do. They do. And she looks around and she's like, "Oh yeah, parties can get pretty rowdy. Like, I wish I got an invite, by the way."
Yeah,
She's
which
like,
was super shady. She's probably
she
the
was
only
like,
person in town that didn't.
she was like, "Oh, you look like you had a good party. Wish I was invited." And then she just looks at them and she's like, "Maybe it was a fox that came through the window."
She doesn't
Like,
give a shit. So after that interaction, she's absolutely useless.
yeah.
Um,
And
they
she's
go
like,
back
I
into the
have I
house.
have a pork belly in the oven. Love Actually's on, and I'm at the bit where they've got the postcards, and I love that bit. I'm going home.
She said, it's girl, bye. It's the night before Christmas Eve. Good night."
I don't like Love
Um,
Actually. I
but
think
that's
it's
when
kind of
the
bad.
stepmother finally. I don't like it either. I hate it actually, but let's not get them.
Yeah.
The stepmother finally asked the father about like his how his uncle died. He said, "You said that like he died of like a fall or whatever."
Yeah.
Like, but people were saying this is a haunted house. Remember, everyone at the party was like, "This is a haunted house. This is a haunted house."
Mm.
So the dad finally tells her the story, which is basically the scene that we saw from the beginning of the film, that he was found on fire and like had suffered a fall from the top of the barn, which is very suspicious because they found that he was trying to burn the barn down. So everyone was like, "Oh my God, there must have been some kind of ghost that he was trying to
Yeah.
like burn down, and the ghost set him on fire and threw him out the window."
Well, I thought that the implication was that the uncle was the ghost.
No, I
Okay, I
think
didn't
the
understand it.
implication.
I got distracted because during this conversation, she's like, "Why would he want to burn down the barn?" And then he just goes, "Well, Norway doesn't have therapy." I'm just like, "Oh, those are the only two options: therapy or burning down a barn."
Speaking of during this
Yeah.
conversation, I had another moment of like, she's so out of his league. Like, not like
Mm.
he is not the kind of man that you move across the world for. He is not the kind of man you move across the world for. I am so
He's
perplexed.
also low-key a bad parent. Like she is the
Hmm.
one who's making sure the son doesn't walk into glass and is concerned about their safety and is stopping the daughter from drinking too much. He doesn't do shit. And then she's the bad guy when she has to tell the kids off.
Yeah, honestly, when if you watch the thing, she's more involved with the kids than he is the entire time.
And they're not even her kids.
No, although she treats them wants them to be.
Yeah, she does. You know what I mean? She wants the blended family to work and it's nice. I
So
guess so.
they head to bed, and the son, before he heads to bed, he makes the porridge for the Nista men. Um,
Yeah, he makes the porridge. No, this is the
Covers it in
daytime.
cinnamon. Oh,
This
okay,
is the
so it's next
daytime.
day.
Yeah. The son makes porridge in the morning and he's like, right, I'm gonna sort it out. I'm gonna put out the porridge in the evening. It's gonna be fab. Well, the next day, sorry, because there's still one day till Christmas.
Yeah,
And
so
then it cuts to dinner time. And the dad decides, I'm gonna feed my unhappy American family a traditional Norwegian acquired taste dish of lutefisk, which is fish jelly. It's
it's
pickled fish
disgusting.
in gelatin. I
You
don't
know,
even
on
think
like
Norwegians eat
nightfall,
that shit.
it looked disgusting. I think one of them refers to it as jellyfish. Like fish jelly, that's it. No, fish jelly.
Fish
It
jelly.
Think of fish jello. It looks disgusting. And it's funny because the teenage daughter is immediately like, no, I'm not eating this. She pulls out a magazine and the stepmom's like, don't read it at the table. And she's like, what were you gonna do? How are you gonna punish me any further? You took my phone. Which
Yeah,
first
she
of all,
did. She took her phone
what's
after she was drinking as well, yeah.
what's wrong with eating sorry, reading at the dinner table?
I mean, I can see the idea of like dinner table time is family time. You have to engage and talk to people. Like I was never allowed books or phones and stuff at the table.
Hmm.
But at the same time, she's not eating the food because it looks fucking shit. And even when
Hmm.
the stepmom and the dad tried it, they were like, right?
Yeah. And you won't
There's
let her leave the table.
They won't let her leave the table, and she's clearly not getting along with anybody. I could see how in this situation it would be justified. But also, can we talk about the rest of the table? There's nothing else to eat. There is a bowl of boiled potatoes that look like they've been left out to be cold. There's no
Hmm.
sauce. There's no
Hmm.
veggies.
This was the crazy thing to me is that even if this fish that he served his family was delicious, even if it was delicious, there wasn't enough.
It
It
was,
wouldn't fill me. It was the tiniest bit of fish on the plate, and then those sad potatoes.
they don't even boil the potatoes right. Why do they look like that? And if you have a
Child
boiled
abuse.
potato, child abuse, exactly, child abuse. Have
Child
some
abuse, yeah,
sauce
yeah,
with
yeah.
it. Have some sauce with your potatoes. Have some butter.
Some butter.
Some something. Have
It
some
was
broccoli.
disgusting. This man
They
clearly can't even cook on a good day.
and to be honest, I can't lie to you. You've already moved across the fucking planet and you're trying to adjust to the like Norwegian way of doing things. You don't have to change everything. You can still eat the way you like to eat in America over there.
Hmm.
Your kids are not happy. Give them some fucking what do they eat in America? Lunchables. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Make it an easier transition for them. If they say no, understand that. Be like, okay, this is a big step. Like, this is very different. That's
It's,
fine.
it's all right, babe. Have some toast. You'll be all right.
But anyway, so the daughter gets shit for it, but whatever. The son tries it. Ugh. The father tries the jellyfish. He hates it, but obviously he's like,
Isn't it just
interesting.
great? And then the stepmom, she starts breaking down because she's the only
Yeah.
one who's actually fighting to get her kids in line and to make this move work, whilst the dad is in a fucking la la land and the kid is like
Feeding them
the
fucking
kid's
jellyfish.
yeah.
And he says, isn't this great? And she's like, no, this is hell frozen over.
Yeah. And then he's like, Happy Vision, darling, and she's like, Fuck Happy Vision. And this is my hereditary dinner scene. 'Cause she went
Can I just say, no, my favorite thing is what sets her off is actually the teenage daughter. Because the
yeah,
teenage daughter says, oh, what happened to Happy Vision? And she goes,
Happy Vision. Oh my
which that
God.
was so kind. See, that was the mother-daughter relationship I wanted to see. That's what I was here for.
Well, now they finally start being honest with each other instead of this whole like kind of lying, fake, faux, earnest American thing, right?
Hmm.
Where they're actually having a conversation. They realize they're not fucking happy anymore. They don't like it. Not even the stepmom is trying it anymore. Like the dad and the son are just there. Like if we could try to eat this jellyfish, it's shit. That should not be the first. Like regardless of where you're moving to, right? Try them out with the more mainstream local delicacies
Yeah.
first. Not pickled fish. Do you know
And
what I mean?
he
Like,
is such he's so clearly such an ignorant father. He takes
yeah,
so little time in his kids' actual lives. She is so busy. First of all, she's also like, she had a whole job that she left behind and things. She's not like a stay-at-home mother. This is not something that she's used to. But she's
yeah,
having to wrangle these kids on her own because he is not helping. And he's just this la la land cunt who's like, we're gonna try this crazy fish and like my kids are fine and they're okay. And it's like, go fuck yourself. And this is the next scene really pisses me off. So the mother storms off the room. Everyone's sort of like, that, oh, dinner blew up. Everyone goes and does their own thing. Oh, sorry, this really pissed me off. The son goes into the kitchen.
because he's
He's
not been
over
fed.
because he's not been fed. He's starving. He goes over to the sink, and what does he hear behind him? The most disgusting, most irritating noise I ever heard. He hears
It's like ASMR mouth sounds.
fucking stuffing of stuffed faces, and he
And he
turns
looks
around.
around and his dad didn't even take the bowl with him. He's eating it in the fridge like the
His
coward
dad's
he
head is
is.
in the fridge. We don't even know what he's doing. He's like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, eating some porridge. And the kid's obviously freaking out, like, that porridge was in this, which first of all, he eats all the porridge. This is why this angers me. He didn't ask. Yes, yes, the child says, "Oh, the porridge was for the Nissaman." Sure, he thinks Nissaman isn't real. He thinks the kid's not going to eat it. Fine, whatever. But he didn't know that the porridge could have belonged to the daughter. The
Or the
porridge could have belonged to the
stepmom.
boy or the stepmom. It could belong to anyone.
If it
He's the
belonged to the stepmom, that man
bastard.
would be dead.
Oh, I'm being too loud. But he's the bastard that decided to get rid of all the food in the fucking house and feed everyone that shitty, disgusting fish. And everyone goes to bed fucking starving, and he eats someone else's food. Someone else's food.
It's like
Who
I
the
can
fuck
bet
does he
you
think he
if it
is?
was some kind of like American, you know how like the Americans they leave out cookies for Santa or some shit,
Hmm.
right? I can bet you if it was like, no, that cookie was for Santa, he would have felt bad about it. But no, because the kid is like trying out a new tradition, like he wants to do with the stupid pickled
Hmm.
fish,
Hmm.
because that slightly inconveniences him because he wants the porridge, he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a shit.
He's such
He
a
could,
selfish cunt. How dare
and
you
this is the
like
point where
rob them of a meal and then steal their literal meal?
I can't lie. Like up to this point, I'm like, okay, he's bumbling, but it's like it's quite cute, whatever. But at this point, I'm just like, no, you're just a twat.
Yeah. I mean, he's the cunt that moved his entire family, made his wife quit her fucking career, moved his daughter at an important time in school, moved his kids away from their friends, their relatives, etc., etc. I know the thing is, we do. I don't know if we like said this, but their mom, their biological mom, is dead.
Yeah, she's
And
dead.
the thing is, but it's not said that she has no family. So you've taken them away, possibly from their mother's parents, from their grandparents on their mother's side.
Or
You've
at the
taken
very
them
least, they
away
can't
from
exactly go and visit her grave now when they feel like they miss
exactly
her.
all this shit. Like, oh, you're such a selfish cunt. He acts like, oh, I did this time family. I just thought it was the right. And it's like, no, you just wanted to do it. You wanted to get in touch with your roots. As he says at some point, he says like, oh, it was my great grandfather that decided to leave to America and he never
He
came
said he'd
back. Blah
always
blah
come
blah.
back, and now I'm back in his place, and I'm just like, you're American
He's
now, babe.
selfish. It was just a selfish, self-fulfilling, fucking bullshit. Fucking, oh, I would kill him and then I would kill myself if I was his kid.
And then it's just like it becomes more and more like selfish the more you look into it. Like the deeper we think about this film, the more selfish this guy turned out to be because he didn't move when his kids were young with his first wife because that would be a more convenient time to move because when they're small, it doesn't matter so much that they're moving in because they can make friends anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But they move them when they're teenagers, which is more difficult with his second wife, who is still kind of having a rocky relationship with the teenagers. And only after it becomes convenient in terms of the uncle dying. These kids have said that they've never been to Norway before. They didn't know this dead man who they're living now in his house, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolute stranger.
So it like the more you think about it, the more kind of shallow it becomes. And it's like it's interesting how like because I mentioned this before, it's interesting how there's kind of like they're still trying to maintain their Americanness within like Norway
Mm.
kind type of Christmas, right? But they don't try and bridge the gap in the way like that would actually work and make a difference. Instead, they just kind of move there, try their food, try the food that the Norwegians probably don't even like, or you know what I mean, is an acquired taste to them and expect to do things the American way. I fully believe that they intended that Christmas dinner to be like some kind of dry dinner where like no one was drinking and everyone was just having a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, get some fucking alcohol in this bitch. Make a dry turkey. I don't even think they
You know
care
what?
that much.
I could hate on that father all day. He really pissed me off then. I think this was my breaking point for him. The porridge was genuinely like that was my fuck happy vision moment. He's the only one that's not actually had to sacrifice like anything. He's just a fucking loser bum who had nothing going for his life besides his kids. And guess what? He took them with him.
And it feels like he's trying to put on airs all the time as well. Like he's trying to pretend like he's doing this for everyone else. He's trying to pretend like he's engaging with the culture. He's trying to pretend like he's a good dad. But really, all he's done is fucking annoy the shit out of everyone,
Yeah. And be
including the
useless the
viewer.
entire time. Every time one of the kids, which has mainly been the daughter, has like felt sad or been struggling with the move, it's been the stepmom that steps in and says, "Hey, do you want to talk about it?" Yeah, most of her advice has been useless, but the point is that she's trying. The
He's
father hasn't
trying.
even had a conversation with his kids where he sits down and says, "Hey, I know this is hard on us. Like, let's all like talk about our feel." No, he's done nothing. He's just lived his life and been happy with the move. Just everyone else has to slot into place because my life is going fine
Yeah.
because everything's
And
working for me.
I'm deep in it now because I don't think there's a single scene in this film. in terms of the normal family life where it's just him and one of his kids, or him and both of his kids. It's always either they're all together or the kids are
Hmm.
playing because the girl plays softball, right? So it's their kids are playing softball outside, or it's the stepmom talking to one or both of the kids, or it's all of them together, or it's him talking to the stepmom. He's been
Yeah, they're
kind
like
of
never.
absent, to be honest.
He's never alone in a room with his kids, just him and his kids, or even
Yeah.
just one of his kids, or both of them. He's never been alone in the room with his kids. There's like one moment where he ends up alone with one of his kids. Later on, we'll get to that too when they
But
go
that's not
sledding.
normal family life either.
It's
That
not,
part.
but you'll see how he's forced into it. And in fact, his son invites himself along to it.
Yeah.
He was planning on going on his own. His son invites himself.
We'll get to it. We're
Anyway,
gonna get back to the film now because
we'll
this is
get to
getting
it.
too
So
much.
the dad eats the porridge, which, mind you, in my head, I did think like, why did the boy not just make more porridge?
Yeah. But then the boy says that was all the porridge we had, and I'm assuming maybe he used the last of the like rice or milk or whatever the fuck he used to make it.
Yeah, but
I
that's
don't
just
know.
so cunt. Like he could have tried and got him some more, but he he
Yeah.
he doesn't even give a scratch of a shit. So he's not gonna give that much of a shit to go out and do anything like that.
Oh, and this other thing he said, he was like the kid was like that was for the barn elf, and then the dad goes, yeah, he would have loved it.
Go fucking kill yourself right now. Like actually, like
I am gonna burn that whole fucking house down with him inside it.
please do, please do. I hope they
Oh
eat
my
him
God.
alive. So the
Yeah.
dad says you'll have to give him something else. So the boy, looking around at their completely empty kitchen with his own rumbling, starving stomach, after his
He
father
gives
just pigged
the
himself out on the food he made,
yeah. He gives the
goes
elf
out
the
to the barn,
lutefisk.
yeah, with the fish jelly, and he hands it, he slides it over to the Nissaman and leaves the barn. Nissaman picks it up, he smells it, doesn't seem to hate the smell, but he tries it, hates the taste, and is
Yeah.
so offended that he goes through an evil transformation in which the Nissaman like lets out a screech, and suddenly his teeth are sharp as nails, and his eyes glow red.
He is pissed, and I can't blame him. These Americans have moved into his house, blasted him with lights, music, unwanted guests, fucking vomit on him, smashed up his shit, called the police on him,
Hmm.
and
In his own home.
fed him lutefisk.
You know what? I actually think that
Justified.
this dinner, including for the Nissaman's dinner, was just a breaking point for everyone. I just think, including me, it was the breaking point. We all just had enough. Not all of us became, evilly magically awoken, but we definitely all snapped. That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say.
So then now it's finally, obviously, it's the day before Christmas. And so the dad had arranged for Raymond to come over dressed as Father Christmas to visit the kids. And so he turns up.
Fumbling and definitely tipsy.
Oh, he's shit faced. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah, he should not be drinking and driving that kick sled.
no, but and he's got like a Santa Claus mask and a big beard and the whole costume. And then he hears a noise behind him because he's
Yeah.
outside the house, and he hears a noise behind him, and he turns and he sees the Nistaman, but he thinks it's the little boy
Yeah,
because
he's
it's
like,
dark. He's
Lucas,
wearing a
come
mask
here.
and he's shit faced. So he's like, "Lucas, come here!" And the Nistaman runs around the side of the barn, and he thinks, "Oh, come here! Oh, it's me, Santa Claus! Like, come here, Lucas! Come here! I got presents for you!" So he goes around the corner, and then
Yeah,
the Nistaman's facing away from him, slamming a sledgehammer against the barn just
yeah.
over and over again. And he's sort of like, Lucas, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's
He
when,
turns around and he sees this guy. Like, the Nissan turns to face him, got a full fucking beard, and only then does he realize, oh, this might not be the 10-year-old boy that's a completely different height and weight to this guy.
again, he does have a plastic mask on that does,
Yeah,
obstruct his vision, and also he's shit faced.
I get that.
So
It's just like,
I've
would it have
mistaken
really taken the
crazier
full
while
beard
drunk.
though? Pardon?
Listen, I've mistaken crazier while drunk.
What have you
So
mistaken crazy while drunk?
I
Tell
don't want to
me.
talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. So the point is he looks up and he sees that the barn is shaking because of all the sledgehammer hits, and a large icicle falls towards his face. The implication that is that the icicle has obviously impaled his face. And what I
Yeah,
love is here what happens is as the icicle's about to hit his face, it cuts to a close-up shot of a toothpick being stabbed through a date because the stepmother is indoors eating dates on the couch. So it was a very fun, like, I would say most of the killing or gore in this film is done off camera. You
Yeah.
see some blood, but you almost never see someone actually get slashed or like cut or anything. You see almost no gore. It's all cutaways.
Yeah, this
You
is not a
just
very gory Christmas film.
Yeah, not at all. And it is more of a Christmas horror, so that makes sense. But yeah, I love that shot. Like the icicle falling towards his face, and right before it hits him, it switches to the close up of the toothpick impaling the date, and it's just like
Mm.
I don't know. I think it just like I really like that shot.
Well, a lot of the timing in this edit is not very good, but that particular cut was very well done. The dad decides, okay, he's taken too long. I'm gonna go and find him. And he
Mhm.
finds Raymond strung up, hanging with Christmas lights with the icicle in his face. And you know
Yeah,
what? At this point, he does the only smart decision I think up until this point, right? Which is he goes back inside, he gets his family, he says, "We have to go now. We have to go now. We have to go
he
now."
doesn't tell
And
them
I'm
why.
like,
He just says, "Get in the car, get in the car."
"Get in the fucking car." And they get in the car, and the car doesn't work because it's too cold out. They didn't pull the snow off it or some shit, right?
Yeah, it's like it's not starting up.
Yeah, they're using the windscreen wipers and there's fucking snow all over the shits. And then the Nissan jumps on the hood of the car and starts smashing it up.
Yeah. And obviously they're like, what is that? What is that? And the boy is like, that's the Nilsson and that's the elf. Like, that's what I've been telling you about. So the stepmom is like, do something, do something. So the dad turns on like the windshield sprays and
Yeah,
spritzes the elf, which causes him to slip and he falls in front of the car. And that's when the little boy is like, oh, turn the headlights on, turn the headlights on, because he
yeah.
knows he hates artificial light. So they turn the headlights on
And it
and it
stuns
fuck
him.
no, it knocks that bitch out. Like you would have sworn he had been hit by the car. The way that he thudded to the ground, it
Yeah,
was hilarious. So
it
obviously the
was really
family get out
good.
of the car.
They run
The
back into the
kids,
house
yeah. Although
and
the parents stand over the Nissa man being like, "What is that? So
yeah.
weird."
He don't look that different from a regular guy.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
why they didn't think like, is this just like a little person?
yeah.
Like maybe it's a little person that we've like accidentally just like killed. Or so they thought, because the fucking Nistaman opens his eyes and he
And
lets
he's
out a screech, like a screech on the level of that. As a was it? Is it called a mandrake? That thing from
yeah,
Harry
yeah,
Potter?
yeah, yeah.
Like a mandrake scream. Both parents cover their ears, like ow, and you're like, what the hell is happening, right? And that's when you hear commotion, sort of like rustling throughout the entirety of the wilderness, and all of a sudden at the barn, you see all these eyes from what seemed to be like 15 plus Nisaman. He's
Now
like let out a
the
screech to summon his like brethren.
absolutely that's how I summon people when it's time to leave the club.
I like to imagine that there are species where like the women also have beards.
Well, that's the thing though, because all of the Nissan come out, right? And I'm thinking, okay, cute. A few of them have beards, and then they all have beards. And I'm like, that's just not how, like, they
No,
don't
I
all
love
have to
it.
have beards.
No, I love it. I love that like I want it to be one of the species, but like even like some of the Nistaman we saw, even though they all presented very masc and like were given a map, I like to imagine that some of them were like female,
Maybe it's like Steven Universe where they all have one gender,
which is lesbian.
which is lesbian, but I guess this is all just like gay men with beards.
No, I don't claim it.
There
I
are
reject it.
just to say this before we move on. Canonically, not all Nissa men have are old little men. There are women, there are children. I'm sure there's a non-binary Nissa man somewhere. I have
They
not
could
seen
be
one
so
yet though.
cute. Well,
Hmm?
as we established, you've not seen any Nistaman.
That's true. That's true.
You'll have to like document it for us if you see any,
Document.
which is perfectly fine. The parrots run into the house. The Nistamen absolutely just invade the house. They smash into it.
They're smashing shit up. They're smashing people up. The son
It
has a
becomes a
lamp.
family brawl. So this is going to be a lot of moving parts. So just to simplify it, there are four family members. Cool. They're all being attacked by the Nisamen. The son grabs a lamp and he's using it as like a sort of like go away wand to use
Yeah.
artificial light to ward them away from him. That's
Which works for a while, which works for a right while. The the dad has a snow shovel which he uses to batter them for a while before he gets
yeah, the dad is
disarmed.
useless in the fight. He just gets disarmed and he gets whooped. His ass gets whooped with that fucking shoveling spade.
What does this?
But he gets pushed out the window, whatever. the mother has a silver serving tray, which she's using to
Oh,
smack the
yes.
crap out of them Nistmen, like until one of them
It,
sort of
it
like
looks quite
stabs
painful.
something. It does until one of them stabs something sharp through the serving tray and she can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and the sister was bench pressing because they grabbed like the tall lamp or some sort of like long stick, and all the Nista, like three Nista men were holding it against her, pushing her against the wall, so that it was like sort of strangling her.
Yeah, she
But
was struggling.
she was bench
But
pressing. She was
she was getting like freaking attacked with like four of them. Most of them had to
Mhm.
fend off one or two. She had like the whole army after her.
And then the Nista men continue to whoop the dad. And then they start to figure out how the lamp works that the sun's using, so they unplug
Yeah.
it and they're like, haha. So then the son runs, like obviously. The mother is like killing it, so she can't use the serving tray anymore, but she grabs like the star from the tree and she
Oh
like
yeah.
throws it like a throwing star and it's like stabs one of the elves in the head and kills it. Slay. The sister bench presses them off of them, like throws them all across the room, and she gets up and she finds a baseball bat and she starts
It's
swinging
her
that thing and
softball
she
bat, I
just
think.
like, bro, it's a bat,
It's a
and she
bat.
just headshot, 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 bat, 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 like
The women
absolute
in this
killing
family are
it.
really killing it.
They're carrying it. They're really carry. No, they really like. You have to like wait till we get there. They just continue to carry this fucking shit.
Oh yeah, and the
In fact,
dad's wedding
uh,
ring gets fucking bitten off him.
yeah, it's really weird. And then Nissaman like looks at it, goes, and then like swallows it in front of him. It goes, ha ha ha.
It's like it's really funny.
The sister saves her brother
Yeah,
in a real clutch way, which is like sickening. Again, just like carrying these men. I was gonna say one of the deaths of the elves I liked is one of when she saves her brother, she does it like in a sickening way, like she slides on her knees across the room and grabs a candle from a table on the way, and then she turns around and lights one of the elves on fire with it, and the
oh,
elf,
his beard, yes.
yeah, he jumps out the window on fire, which I liked because it was parallel to the
Yeah,
death of the great uncle where he's flying out the window on fire. I liked
very
that.
fun. Yeah. Then they decide to call the police.
Yeah. And she
Um,
arrive our favorite police officer arrives on her snowmobile and the lights of the snowmobile scare off all the elves, so it's great, we
yeah,
don't have to deal with that. She comes into the house, they're explaining everything. She doesn't believe them, obviously. She's saying, "That's not real, these are fairy tales, are you okay?" They're
yeah.
like, "Where's your gun? We need a gun." And
And
that's
she's
when
like,
she's
"Oh, the
like,
gun is on the snowmobile."
well, before that, she says, "This isn't America, I don't carry my gun, like we don't go around shooting each other in the face."
They're like, "Can you call for backup?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's like 2 hours away, and I have like a
Like
ham in the oven. I'm not doing
like
this." Meanwhile, outside, the Nissamen, which is this is like the part of the film which is or up to this point, like the Nissamen have kind of been cute but like generic kind of movie monsters, if that makes sense. But at this point in the film, I think they really kind of grasp the concept of like a cheeky little guy who just kind of vibes because the
I
Nissamen
think they gave very
outside,
much the vibe of like gremlins.
yeah. But at
Very
this point,
similar, mischievous.
outside while they're having this conversation, the Nissamen are fucking joyriding on a snowmobile.
Yeah. So obviously they hear that and they're like, why is the snowmobile like driving? So they run
Yeah,
outside and they see that the elves, the Nissa men, are driving the snowmobile. And obviously she's like, what the fuck? Like they're real, basically.
yeah.
Um, and that's when, right as she like realizes they're real and she's freaking out, one of them swoops up a ramp on the snowmobile and crashes right into her. And then
And
like
grinds
blood
her up with the
starts, yeah,
wheels.
and the blood starts spewing out. But that doesn't stop him because he eventually, when he's able to drive over her mushed up body, he swerves round and starts like doing tricks, and then he swerves into the barn and crashes into it. Which I love this shot too because as he swerves into the barn, it just leaves this like blood trail behind the snowmobile that was done very effectively that I liked. But he crashed into the barn, and it's important to note that we see that the snowmobile has pierced some barrels that were filled with flammable liquid that starts sort of flooding the
Family.
floor
Two things to
of
remember.
the
The
barn.
snowmobile has a gun on it, and the barn is now covered in gasoline. You need to remember this for the end, because I completely forgot.
Yeah. Well, actually, you need to remember it for right now because what happens is it's so stupid. Is the Nistaman gets off the snowmobile and he picks up the gun and he doesn't know what it is, so he turns around and he's playing with it and he fires it and shoots one of the other Nistamen dead. And then when he sees the Nistaman die, he doesn't think, "Oh no!" He just goes like, "What?" So he turns the gun around to look down the barrel of the gun and shoots himself in the head. So they took care of themselves.
Such a fucking vibe. To be honest, like this is the part of the film when I was like, okay, great, more of this. Because this is like the stupid antics that I associate with any kind of Nissamen like media, I
Hmm.
guess. But no, we get more of the American family.
Yeah. Mind you, during the fight, the father was bit by one of them. So when we cut back to the house and like the family obviously freaking out but trying to calm each other down, the
Yeah.
father they go
Oh,
upstairs and they actually hide in the
they've
daughter's room
yeah.
because the
The
Nissa men are still
daughter is
downstairs.
yeah, the daughter is bandaging up the stepmom, and the dad is
Mhm.
deciding I want attention right now, so I'm gonna tell my son to kill me because the Nissa men fucking bit me.
Yeah, they bit me. You have to kill me before I become one. Blah 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 blah. And his
You
son's
ever
like,
see
it
like
don't work like that.
you ever see like I don't know if you've ever had this experience where like you have a female relative and she's just like powering through like a cold or some shit, and then like a male relative who gets like the sniffles and he just like lies on the sofa and cries. It was the equivalent of that.
He's like, I'm
I should
sorry,
have eaten him.
but look at me, guys. Look at me, I'm dying. Which is so funny because all the rest of them have been hating their lives since they got there. So that they're like, yeah, this is shit, but it's shit. Whereas this is the first time in the entire film and his entire week of living there that he's actually not liked his experience because he's actually been inconvenienced. And so all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm
Woe
fainting.
is me. Fucking pussy.
Mind you, while they're up in the room, sort of like recovering, the elves are downstairs and they're sort of exploring, being very mischievous. And that's when one of the elves goes into the cabinet and tries some liquor. And he decides he likes it and he tells everyone else, like, no, 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 this is really
They're
good.
having a party and it's a vibe. I can't lie. It
Yeah.
looks fun. Some of them are fighting. Some of them are like, you know those I love you drunk chats where they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad we're friends. You can tell, like, you can't understand what the fuck they're saying, but they're doing that. Some of them are just doing stupid shit around the house. And I'm just like, I want to be down there with the Nisman partying. Like, what is
Honestly,
this?
yeah. They seem like good people, like, as
I'd
long as
make
you give them their porridge.
literally just give them, make some porridge, go down, have some snaps, have a party. It's gonna be great.
You could have pie with them, okay? You could
You
have
could
had
part with
three-way.
them. And but no, instead, wait, what did you just say? No,
You
no,
could
say
have
it
had a,
again.
you could have had a three-way with this. He wanted to try something new and different and Norwegian.
Okay. But no, instead of having a three-way with Nissamen, they are upstairs having a heart-to-heart. The dad finally fucking apologizes. I can't get the image. Oh my God. The dad finally apologizes for moving them there. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm just a fuck up. I like keep fucking up.
And he
Uh,
says, your mother died, and since then all I could think of was keeping you guys safe. And I thought moving you here would do that. And it's like, understand that like anywhere safer than America. I get that vibe. But really? Don't lie. You didn't move here for them because you thought they'd be safer. Don't
yeah.
bullshit. Like, don't bullshit them. Like, just keep the apology at like, I'm sorry I moved your whole fucking lives. Don't add some. I thought I was keeping you guys safe. That's why I did. No, no, you did it for yourself because you wanted to
It
fulfill
the
your
way
great
he
grandfather's
apologizes,
prophecy.
oh, it's so manipulative because he's like, "Oh, I promise nothing bad would ever happen to you again." First of all, that's just impossible to do. Second of
Hmm.
all, you could have said a million things. You could have said, "I thought this was the best decision for us. I was wrong. I'm sorry." Instead, he goes on and on about how much of a fuck up he is and how everyone should feel sorry for him because he's tried so hard when no one asked him to.
Yeah. And then the family obviously tries to comfort him with stupidity because the stepmother goes, she says, well, it's not the worst Christmas we had. And then
Yes,
they
it
start
is. Two
reminiscing.
people died.
They start reminiscing about when they were at like an airport and they all had diarrhea. And then on the plane, they were just like taking turns, the four of them, like having diarrhea at a time. And no one else on the plane could use the toilet. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty embarrassing. But two people just died. I know it wasn't
Two,
you or your kids, but two people just died.
two people just died. And then they're like, oh yeah, but do you remember when we had grandma over with her new partner Stefan and we walked in on them having sex? I'm just like, two people are dead. Okay, grandma got a little freaky. Sue
Yeah,
her.
leave her alone.
Honestly, I'd rather spend
You'd
Christmas with
what?
their grandma than their. Okay, I
I don't
can
know,
ignore
girl.
her touchy feeling with Stefan if I have to avoid that entire family.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd rather walk in on grandma getting it good than have to have diarrhea on a like a 4 hour flight.
Or get attacked by crazy men.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, anything over than this, man. Although I feel like I would have just given them the fucking porridge and I'd be fine, but whatever.
Honestly.
But anyway, so they realize they need to get into action. They've like, wallowed in their pity, whatever the fuck. Boo-hoo. It's okay, Dad. We'll forgive you like we always do. You don't have to feel bad anymore. And he instantly suddenly doesn't feel bad. Oh wow. It's like almost like
Yeah.
he just was fulfilling a quota, but whatever. And that's when the
But
father
they
says he's going to find help because
yeah,
they realize
because
that the father left his phone downstairs charging. The daughter's phone was confiscated, and the mother's phone is either broken or dead. I can't remember.
I think and this man smashed it in one of the fights. But they
Yeah,
remember that the guy who runs the museum, his name is Tor, he lives down the street.
it's still quite a ways just to
Yeah, because
clarify.
they're like this is not like a street like a regular street. Like this is like in between houses there's a fucking forest. So you're gonna have
Yeah,
to sled there. So they're like, "Oh, we can take the kick sled that Raymond had to Tor's and we'll be fine." And the dad's like, "I'll go." And then this is the scene where the son volunteers to go with the dad.
yeah. So the father's like, I'll go, and goes to like leave out the balcony, and the son's like, I'll come with you, Dad. And he's like, okay. Which, first of all, I don't know why he thought that was right, but he's a shitty parent, so
No,
whatever.
but I can see it because I probably would have taken both of my kids and then gone back for the stepmom because obviously she's injured, right? Because they're in a house full of Nismen that want them dead. So I can see the idea of escape being more appealing. But then I
Hmm.
wouldn't, do you know what I mean? I feel like he was just trying to go away on his own.
Yeah, he was just trying to get away from them like he always is. He was like, I spent too much time with my kids. Basically. So the son goes with him. They jump out off the balcony onto like a large lump of snow. So
I'm
sort of like
assuming they thought it
crashes.
would be soft, but they just thud onto it and they're like, ugh.
Yeah, it was definitely one of them. Oh, oh, you had to walk it off. And that's when they see two Nissa men who are outside pissing and they're like drunk, and one of the Nissa men like leans down and looks at the other Nissa man's penis and starts laughing, and then the other Nissa man smacks him upside the head for like laughing at his penis. It's very much drunk activities. Is these guys are having a great time. But then they hear noise behind them, obviously, because they jumped out the balcony, and they get suspicious, and they catch the father and son trying to run away, but the father and son are able to make it to the sled, and they like kick off down the slope, but they notice that the two pissing Nissa men have also found their way onto a sleigh and are sledding down behind them.
Yeah, there's a chase scene at this point.
Yeah. But we, in the meanwhile, cut back to the mother and daughter who are in the bedroom.
And they're like, what can we do? What can we do? Like this, we can't just sit up here because they'll come. And then we're like, I know, I have moonshine. Why don't we just make bombs?
Yeah, so the mother's like, Moonshine, what you doing with moonshine? I like this. I thought it was creative. We've seen like bauble grenades before in other Christmas horrors, but in this we specifically saw them do like bauble Molotov cocktails where they took the silver piece like from the top of the bauble, filled it with moonshine, and then somehow had like flammable like fucking TNT rope string to go out the top of it, and they lit them and then threw them out. Like I've
I
never
thought it
seen
was
like
sparklers
bauble.
that were in them.
Oh, maybe it was. That makes sense then. But yeah, they made like bauble Molotov cocktails, not just like grenades that go, psh, but
Yeah.
like actual Molotov cocktails. I thought that was so funny.
I love when they use seasonal decor as like a weapon in a movie. I love it when they do it with Christmas stuff. I've not seen it with any other holiday, but I would love to see it with more holidays. Um, it kind of cuts back and forth between the girls and the boys a bit. But like they're being chased by the Nissamen. They've got like saw blades that they're being thrown at them. And then the
Hmm.
girls, they throw down a bomb and sorry, your glass, like the liquid is showing, but like the actual glass itself is like invisible. It's really weird looking.
Grow
Anyway,
up.
and then the girls they throw down this bomb, and because it's a sparkler, it takes fucking forever for it to go down. And then this man he picks it up and he's looking at it, he's like. fuck is this? Like, what is gonna happen here? And then it goes, obviously the flame ducks underneath the covering of the bauble, because it's a huge ass fucking bauble. And they're like, oh, nothing's happened. And the Nismen start laughing and like, ha ha ha. And then it just blows the fuck up.
And blows that bitch out.
I thought that the Nisman was gonna throw the bomb back at them. I thought that would have been really funny, but that was also pretty funny. Although
I
I
think they
think that
could
it
have added
lasted a
that.
little too long.
Like if he threw it back and they had to throw it back. I think that'd be really funny.
Oh, that's a good one.
And mind you, the bombs that they're throwing are just these like huge fiery explosions that were just like very satisfying to watch.
It
But also
was
like
weird
they
how,
had a bit too much fun.
yeah, but it was weird how the first one took fucking forever to explode, and the other ones they just exploded on an impact.
I think because they threw it with more force.
Yeah, so then they start coming up through the fucking chimney, and the mum holds down this like kind of fire guard thing against it, and she's
Can I
like,
just
"Go."
say, mind you, right before they come in through the chimney, after they bomb the elves, they start talking about bombing the elves, and then they suddenly have a heart to heart over bombing the elves. And she's like,
Yeah,
I accepted you as my mother a long time ago. What do you mean? And she's like, oh. Anyway, that's when they come in through the thing. And obviously, she feels like a mother now. So she's like, you go, run. I'll hold him off.
but can I just say, during this conversation, it suddenly dawned on me that maybe these aren't like I haven't Googled this, but maybe these aren't American actors because of the way the daughter speaks. She doesn't like she sound. It sounds like this is her second language.
Hmm, I could see
I don't
that.
know. I'll have to Google it afterwards. I could be completely wrong, or maybe it's just. Excuse me. Maybe it's just the way the script is written, where I'm like thinking that the person who wrote the script maybe it wasn't their first language because it sounds awkward and stilted in a way where like it makes like the grammar makes sense when I'm thinking about it in like Danish, but not so much in English.
That makes sense. Like, I get that. I definitely had a sense of that.
Yeah.
But it could just be quite stilted script writing.
It could just be bad script writing. Anyway, daughter runs off into the forest. The mum, she starts fighting off these elves. She's like spearing through them with American flags and shit.
She
And the
actually
girl,
kills him.
yeah,
I will say,
and the,
actually, before she probably kills it, she's like getting double teamed by these two little guys. Stepmom gets double teamed. The point is, they're like actually kind of beating her ass, but the
yeah,
daughter obviously jumps off the balcony and she ends up seeing like what looks like 50 more fucking glowing eyes in the darkness. And all of a sudden, her leg gets like caught on a rope and she's dragged into a bush and she screams,
yeah,
Mom! And when she screams mom, obviously the stepmom is awakened 'cause she's like, she called me mom, but also it's like mom mode. So she suddenly
yeah,
like throws these two bitches off of her, grabs the flagpole, like beats one in the face, the other one smashes his head in the ground, puts them on top of each other and skewers them with the American flag. And I do think there's like a patriotic song that plays
yeah.
as she
There
does
is.
that, and the American flag pops out at the top. And yeah, okay, just okay, okay,
I just,
American.
I don't know. I feel like you know when we watched Dead Snow 2 last year, and there was like a couple of moments where the Americans tried to be patriotic, but they kind of like failed because it's obviously a different country.
Hmm. Yeah,
I feel like they did it better in that movie than this one.
yeah. There's just a weird little touch of patriotism that was just like
It just comes out of
didn't do or
nowhere,
mean anything.
especially as the entire movie they're trying to acclimate and integrate into Norwegian society.
So there's been
Um,
no sense of like, oh, ooh, American culture, take it, you Norwegian. Like, no, that's not
yeah.
the sense. It doesn't.
Yeah. But obviously the wife hears the scream, she beats the shit out of the Nissaman, and then she sneaks down the stairs to where the Nissamen are recovering from their partying, like they're just completely fucking passed out.
I love it. By the way, when she does skewer those elves, her killing one-liner is think happy thoughts.
Ugh, fucking life coach.
She thought she ate.
So she goes downstairs and she's sneaking around because she's looking for the husband's phone that was on charge. And she has to put on a Nissa hat to sneak past this elf that's like kind of wakes up at one point so that they just see the top of the hat from like the top of the sofa,
Yeah, she's
which
like, because
I
all
thought
the
was really
elves are like
funny.
asleep,
Yeah.
drunk, wrong. No, that was really funny. I thought it was cute too, because
Yeah.
like he wakes up and you just like he's like, ooh, and all you see is this little hat bobbing by. behind the couch. He goes,
It's
like,
just fucking Jeff over there, you know. I mean, she grabs the phone and smartly she decides she's gonna take it out of the room. Because I hate it in horror movies where they like get the phone and they decide to
mhm.
call while they're still in immediate danger. I feel like that
Yeah.
happens too often.
Also, the second smart thing she does is she calls the museum guy, which is who the father is on his way to go see. Because
Yeah.
she's like, I could call anyone right now, but I'm gonna call him because actually, how does she have his number? I don't know. Maybe they
But no,
traded
because they
cards.
have each other's numbers. They have each other's numbers now because now what's it called? The son and the dad, they're at Tor's house and they're trying to explain the situation. He's like, "No, elves aren't real." And then they're like, "Yeah, they fucking are." And then he gets a phone call and then they're like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "It's you." And he shows his
Yeah,
like
like
phone
it's coming from, yeah,
contact.
but that's why I'm like, how did he have they have each other's phone number? I think
I'm
they added
assuming they
each
got it
other.
at the party.
Yeah. Anyway, so she calls through and she's like, our daughter's been taken. Like, you have to come here. You have to help us. And then she screeches, like she's been like grabbed or something. And the phone call like cuts off. And obviously he's like,
Yeah.
now we have to go all the way back. But at least they're with the museum guy now, so they can get a lift. So they head in his car and they drive back up to the house.
This bit I found really funny because they're like, right, let's go, let's go. And he's like, okay, but first I have to get my winter clothes on. It's freezing. And by the way, the kid has a coat on. The dad has ditched his coat like ages ago. By this point, he doesn't have a hat or nothing. But this guy's like, no, I have to get my winter
No.
clothes. And then they're in the car and he's like, floor it. And they're like, no, I've had alcohol and it's illegal to drive drunk. So let's go slowly.
Mind you, the father like is wearing less layers, but you bet you he's waiting for someone to notice so he can be like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm not caught, I'm fine,
Such a
fine.
fucking pick me.
He really is. They
So
get back
they
to the
get there.
house and they see like the aftermath of the explosions and they're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck happened?
Yeah.
But they see these like elves. Oh,
Oh, wait. Sorry. Sorry. I need to go over something because we've skipped something that I find really fucking weird, okay?
oh yeah.
Yeah, now you're remembering it, right? Sorry, let me find my note on this.
Oh, he would just ignore it.
No, we have to fucking notice this. So they go into the house, right? This is after the wife calls and they're having this conversation, right? And he's like, "Do you have a gun?" And he's like, "No, nobody has a gun here. This is not Detroit. We don't shoot people. We mediators. We mediate everything. Have you ever heard of the Oslo Agreement? This is where we brought peace to Israel Palestine in the 60s." And and then he goes, "Oh, I mean, obviously, like it didn't work, but still." And I'm like, on the this movie came out last year, like a month after October 7th. That is like it aged like milk, but it aged in the editing room.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the thing is he brings it up again later. And I'm like,
Mhm.
they could have cut this out. It wasn't a funny joke. They could have cut it out.
It was really unnecessary too. I don't know. See, I'm thinking, is it a cultural thing? Like, is it a more relevant and more funny thing in Norway? I don't know. Is that more relevant to Norwegian people?
I don't I think because it was obviously Oslo, which is in Norway, that like brokered the agreement, right? But I was just like, why is this even here?
Well, no, that's how I felt. But I'm saying maybe it's more of a relevant thing. Maybe they joke about it a bunch. I don't know.
Maybe I don't fucking know. That's weird.
It was really weird. It wasn't funny, and not just like it wasn't funny. Like it wasn't a joke. Like it was.
He was just like genuinely proud of this like weird bad colonial agreement that happened in the 60s
He just
or
kept
fucking
bringing
I
up
don't whenever it happened.
it felt semi-genuine, so it didn't feel like it was like just like, oh, patriotism, like, oh, we did this great thing, because it didn't feel genuine, but
I
then
don't know.
it didn't feel, they didn't make a joke, so they didn't make fun of it. It was just sort
I
of
think
him
it's
just
like this.
saying it.
You know how like there's like Canadians that are, there's like this stereotype about how Canadians are all nice, right? But like I feel like in terms of Scandinavian like countries, there's obviously there's the stereotype of they're all happy and shit. But then there's also this stereotype that they're all really peaceful, which isn't true, by the way. Uh, but there's this stereotype that they're like the peaceful guys and they're more level-headed and blah blah blah. So I guess they tried to use that as like an example.
Hmm.
Oh, it was so like I was shook because I was like, this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It was unnecessary, and it's just
And I
well,
thought because he said obviously it didn't work, right? But then they cut to something else, like they moved on with the conversation and they were driving, right? I
yeah.
assumed that it was gonna come up later as like as like a different joke,
I thought
but we'll
that
get
the
because
first
it does
joke
come
was
up
going to be on
again.
its own. I think if it was just on its own, I could have maybe rolled my eyes and forgone it because it maybe works as a stand for like a as like a we're all about negotiating, and here's an example of how that like doesn't actually work.
Yeah,
So I thought that on its own unnecessary, but could have just been left on its own.
yeah.
Like I could have been
It's
like,
like
oh
a
okay,
oh Americans do guns, but Norwegians they talk like thing.
yeah, and we're so good at talking. Look at this thing we did that didn't work, but I was like, okay, cool. Leave it
Okay,
at that. But the fact that it comes up again, who is this guy? He's just a weirdo. Like, anyway,
yeah. He was
okay.
obsessed with it as well. It was crazy. And then they see the aftermath of what's happened, and they
But they see
decide to
elves
yeah,
that are like messing around during the barn, so they decide to follow them. They follow them into the barn, quietly, and they see the elves open up a hatch on the ground that leads to a secret tunnel. So they wait a little bit, they go into the hatch, and they find the secret tunnel. Now it seems like this like underground tunnel cave system seems to connect
yeah,
like all the barns like in
yeah.
town.
It looks pretty
And this is
old.
yeah, and this is how the Nissa men presumably get around, and that's how he's able to call them all. So they
Yeah.
follow it all the way to the end, and they end up coming to this opening in the woods where these
Or
like
in the tunnel, Tor talks about negotiating again, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can see why the elves would be so pissed at you guys." And he's like, "Whose side are you on?" It's like, "Well, when negotiating, you have to look at both sides." I'm gonna jump off a bridge. Anyway,
they get to the end, they climb out, there's an opening in the forest, and there are these like mud huts, it almost seems like.
yeah,
Um and presumably these are where the Nista men like live, like it's almost like a little
it's like
Nista
in Nissa
men.
town.
Yeah.
There's like
Um
5 huts.
it was given like Hobbits vibes. But they almost look like big stones. And that's when they find that the Nissa men are there, and the mother and the daughter are sort of tied in the middle of the little Nissa town, are held
Yeah.
hostage.
But
And
they
that's when
call out. They literally like obviously the elves are gonna wait because they literally led you to this fucking place. Even if they, you know what I mean. Even if you thought you were
yeah,
following them, right? This is clearly a fucking trap. But they don't even make it. Like they don't try and sneak or anything. The boy he just calls out. He's like, "Oh my God, Mom, Nora! Oh my God!" This and that. And I'm like, first of all, you didn't scout the area,
he's a
and
stupid
second of
kid.
all, you're
He's
just
a
gonna
kid.
run and like shout at them. Like,
He's a
what are you
stupid
doing?
kid. He shouldn't even be here.
No,
They
he
should have
should have
left. They should have left in a museum guy's house.
literally. Like, why would you bring him back?
Because he's a shit father. That's why. Because he's a terrible shit father. They obviously run over to the mother and daughter, but they turn
Yeah,
around and the head elf, it seems to be,
yeah.
is holding the gun from earlier. Now,
From the
mind you,
snowmobile.
yeah, I forgot to say something. Earlier on, while they were all getting drunk, um, our original Nissamen and the Elgin Nissamen had a disagreement. Like, again, we can't understand what they're saying, but it seemed as if the Elgin Nissamen was like, we're gonna do terrible things, and our Nissamen, the original Nissamen, kind of like was starting to have sort of like moral quarrels, and he was like, oh, I feel bad, like maybe that's evil, like let's not. And he was like,
Yeah,
no, 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 and he's like, "Mm, okay, so
I
you
forgot
can
that
see he's a
happened.
bit flaky. Yeah, it's kind of important now, but he was a bit flaky. So anyway, cut to back at the like mud huts.
Yeah.
The head elf has got the gun. Obviously, they're freaking out.
And the
The
dad's like, how the hell does the elf have the only gun in Norway? And Tor, the fucking bastard, he's trying to both sides it again. He's trying to be like, guys, I know we're like pissed that like he ruined your house and like disturbed your peace, but like maybe we should have a dialogue. And then he just gets shot the fuck up. It was great.
you know what? Maybe it was funny. Maybe it was funny when you think about it this way. That like he's just this idiot who's trying to see both sides and he gets shot for it.
And
It's
I
kind of
thought that would have
funny.
been that it would have been the perfect joke if he just died.
Yeah, but he does. Yeah, he does come back to life. But he gets shot. He's like, "Oh, do you speak Norwegian? Do you speak English? Like, let's like, let's get to know each other." And he gets shot.
Yeah.
And that's when the boy sees the original Nissaman,
Yeah.
his Nissaman that
And
he's
he does
bonded
this
to.
heart thing that he's been doing the entire like movie, which we didn't mention because it was kind of shit.
Yeah, sort of like friend.
Me
Um,
friend.
and then Nissaman, decides, okay, fuck it, like that's my boy right there. So he unties the mother and daughter and helps them like run off, and he runs behind them.
Mm,
The head elf is like firing behind them. They run into the cave system. They run back to the barn. They're being
yeah.
chased and shot at the whole time. They get out of the barn. Blah blah blah. They get cornered
Yeah.
can't remember where did they get cornered.
They get cornered in the barn, and there's like a ladder next to them, and they try fight for a bit, and then the original elf and the head Nissa, they have this like argument in whatever language it is,
The head
like
elf fires the gun, but there's no bullets left.
yeah, and so they climb up the ladder and they hide up there.
They realize that there's nowhere to go, so they realize we need to jump out the window.
Yeah,
But the daughter, being the fucking pyromaniac that we've already established she is, decides,
Queen.
I've got an idea. She sees the flammable liquid that's poured all over the floor, and
Yeah,
she, not that this was relevant until this point, but she has a knack for paper airplanes. It's a thing of hers.
don't
It's
remember
so
this
relevant.
either.
Well, she would sit in her room doing it nonstop because there was nothing to do because she didn't find any hot Norwegian guys. So there's nothing to
Yeah,
do, so she would just do that all day. Anyway, she has an idea. So she, she's like, I got an idea. And the dad's like, let's go. And the mother's like, no, we got this. So the boys get out and the mother and daughter have their pyromaniac bonding time again for the second time tonight. And she lights the
hey,
paper airplane and she throws it into the puddle of flammable
gasoline.
liquid gasoline and it starts to light the floor and it lights up the Nissamen. Um,
Yeah,
and they start just freaking out. And then she notices that it's gonna like explode the fucking like barrel. So she's like, shit, we need to get out. So the
yeah,
mother and
women
daughter
in
jump
STEM
out the
and all that.
window.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as they jump out the window, women in sports, um, the barn explodes.
The barn explodes, and they're sitting out there
Proper like action
recovering.
sequence, like
Yeah. So they're outside this barn. They're like, what the fuck do we do now? Like, what do we do? And then fucking two of these elves turn up with the museum dude who's tied up. And he's like acting like, he's like, yeah, guys, I just had a dialogue with him. It's all fine. Like, we're fine. And the elf kicks him and just fucking dump him there.
they give the impression that basically they were so sick of him talking nonstop that they returned him. Like he annoyed them into letting him.
This is Norwegian negotiation. Annoyed them so much that they agree to shit terms.
So they're all stood together. Now the museum guy gets returned, and they're with their original Nissaman, who's now their friend.
Yeah.
Um, and they're on the same side. And I will say the daughter was the only real one because she was like, 20 minutes ago we tried to kill each other. Now we're friends. Okay. And it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly. What do you mean? Like, whatever. So they're like, oh, the boy's like, where's he gonna go? Because the bomb was exploded. He had no home
Yeah.
left. And they come up with a great idea to let him live on the museum. Because as you might remember from the beginning of the film, nobody goes to the fucking museum.
Nobody goes
And
there.
yeah,
And it's
it's got
literally
no
designed for
artificial light.
Nissamen.
Exactly. No artificial light, no loud noises. And it will never change. So it was
Yeah.
perfect. And so
And
they
so
drop
the,
him
the
off.
museum guy will look after him. The Americans can live in their house and put up as many gaudy decorations as they want. Like, it's fine. And then they finally see the Northern Lights.
They finally see him. They look up and they say, what is it he says? It absolutely peeved me off. Oh yeah, the dad says, all said and done, it was a pretty good Christmas.
And the mom is like, no, two people died. People are dead. And he's like, yeah, but as a family, we've come out of this really strong. No thanks to you.
It was very cute though, because they were hugging at the end, looking at the Northern Lights, and the dad looks over at the museum guy and like ushers him in, and the museum guy got to be involved in the group hug. And that's the film.
That's the film. Merry fucking Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. The film wasn't that bad. I give it a 2.5. It had comedic moments. It's a horror comedy. It had comedic moments that I enjoyed. It wasn't the hardest watch ever. It could have been definitely better in a lot of places, but I'm not mad at it. I'm
Fair
not mad
enough.
at it. I've seen much worse. What about you?
Is that your all your overall thoughts?
I hate the father. He's a cunt. Girls get it done. Should have just given the fucking man his porridge. Don't move your kids across the fucking world.
I didn't think this movie was bad. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just not one I would think about ever again, really. Like, the trailer for this movie is a lot better than the movie as a whole. Does that make sense? Like, I don't
Mm,
think it did, like, it's not terrible, but I don't think it did horror or comedy explicitly well. Obviously, the family, like, yeah, the dad is a shit. I think that it would have benefited more with more humor, especially towards the beginning, in terms of like the Nisamen's antics. I kind of think it would work in a similar way, obviously with different writing and less gore, but like a similar tone to Terrifier, like where it's like really horrific, but it's also like really funny.
I, I, I,
That's how I would approach making a Nisament like movie if it had to be horror on my
See,
own, that's how I would approach it.
if I was doing horror comedy with Mr. Men, I think I liked the elements that really made it like how I compared it to like the Gremlins. I
Yeah.
liked that like silly, mischievous little guys that
The
you're like dealing with
antics,
all
yeah.
night. So I think I would have just done more of that.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I just think
Less of
I
the
wanted a
family getting
different film.
established.
Yeah. The family
I
didn't
think
need
my
that much establishment.
well, I think my issue was is that they wanted this ending where like the Nissaman, has a turns around is morally good, and they had this lovely ending. And to do that, they had to have all this establishing of the relationship between the boy and the Nissaman, and that was a
Yeah.
bunch of wasted scenes that like I didn't need.
Yeah.
I didn't need. I didn't
The
need them
the
all.
first half of the film is kind of boring.
Mm.
Um,
I had the first half of
apart
this
from a
episode
few
is
good
probably gonna be
jokes.
boring.
Huh?
So the first half of this episode is probably gonna be boring because of that.
I don't think so. I think we're pretty funny. Um,
We'll see.
I think the policewoman was gone too soon because she was really good, and I think that they
Mm,
should have kept her alive. Replacing the policewoman with the museum guy, I think, was kind of a mistake, especially because he wasn't as
mm,
charismatic as she was. I think he
yeah.
could have been a good like lore dump character, and then they could have killed him off.
I guess so. I mean, he's important for the end, but if they change the ending, then yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I liked
Especially
the
it'd
fact.
be funny if he like spent his whole life talking about them and like learning about them and like living them, but not thinking they're real, and then finding out they're real, and then he like his life is over.
Yeah, that would have been really funny. Um, yeah, again, I think the establishing could have been better, but also just more concise. I like the majority of the soundtrack, although I think they overuse a lot of like licensed songs. But the stuff that they did make themselves, I thought was pretty good, especially when they do use um Nissen på Juletop, the Christmas, the Scandinavian Christmas song, like remixed it.
Yeah.
But I think they could have added more like Scandinavian Christmas songs. I think that would have been fun, you know? And more like, I guess, fish out of water elements, but that weren't all to do with the dad.
Like I said, like I didn't think the daughter was emotional enough, and then whenever we did see her being emotional, it was almost the exact same like sat down talk with the fucking mother that they kept having, which it was
Yeah.
nice seeing the evolution of those conversations, but I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see them trying to like fit in and realizing, oh, this is difficult. I want to see those problems, like seeing her like, you know, just flesh it
Yeah.
out a little bit more. Like
I
the
just,
daughter like talking about what she's gonna have to do for school and how that's gonna be an issue or whatever.
yeah. I just feel like I don't know if it was their aim to make us hate the dad, because I think that they also tried to establish like all his funniness as well. And so I think that they could have done this better if they had different people like trying to be or trying to acclimate to their new life or trying to resist their new life in Norway in different ways if we got more scenes of them like on their own, you know?
Mhm.
Instead of kind of a lot of repetition, yeah. But I would give this like I think I'd probably give this like a 2.5 to be honest.
So
Out
I
of
give
5.
it.
Yeah.
Say, okay. We had the same rating. Right. That's rare.
Wow, it is rare actually, yeah. Do we have any fun questions for the end of the episode?
Could you move your life across the world?
I'm trying to think where is across the world, like China or America?
I think it'd be a little bit further. So maybe it'd be because I guess
Australia?
Norway's a little bit further than us, so we want to go a little bit further. Well, I guess you want to go like, hmm, what's a little?
I
Well,
don't
I guess
know.
Japan.
I would not live in Japan. The work-life balance, I'm too lazy for that shit.
But
I don't
they
know.
ain't
I
got
think
Nissa Man though.
they don't go to Cement. No, you're right.
I don't know. Maybe
Um,
they do. Fuck do I know?
there's a Japanese fellow watching this right now going, "We have Nissan. What the fuck are you talking about?" I don't know. I think I would want to stay. I quite like the lifestyle of like kind of. I would move to Europe maybe, but I don't think I'd ever move like further than that just because learning languages is hard and the ones I already know I'm dead bad at.
Especially English.
Would so I don't know. What would you ever move your family across the world?
No.
Fair
Wait.
enough.
Not my family. I don't think so. But here's the thing. I wouldn't start a family until I found the place that I really loved, you know? And then
That's fair enough.
doing so, if I had kids or whatever, I would never move my entire family without all of their express like consent and
Yeah,
acceptance and
definitely.
like want to do that. But I would definitely
Um,
move to the other side of the world. Probably somewhere English speaking though, because languages again. I've tried. Well, yeah, it was a fun film. This was a fun episode.
I was gonna say, do you have any weird Christmas traditions?
Me and a friend of mine. This is so stupid. Me and a friend of mine. usually on Christmas night, we will play a Roblox game called Royal High. We did it like 4 years back to back.
I love that.
Unintentionally. I think the fourth year was like,
Unintentionally.
I think the fourth year was like, oh, it's like a tradition now.
That's really funny that you did it 3 times before realizing it was a tradition. That's really good.
The game is like closed now. They closed the server, but
Don't they
which is
have Royal
sad.
High too?
No, don't say that, girl. I don't want to reawaken that tradition.
Oh, there's this specific food where it's like kind of cooked apples with like jelly on in the middle that I always make, and I feel like my grandma used to make them because she used to like them a lot, but then ever since she passed, like no one else like likes to eat them that much. I think my aunt maybe. So now I'm just tasked with making like 20, and then I eat like 7.
Sounds pretty good.
You know what? It's great for me. But this one year I forgot them at my grandparents' house and we did Christmas with my aunts. So like I forgot them before we drove over there and and I had to eat them the next day cold. It was great.
What did
Like,
you keep setting up like you're complaining, and then you're like, I love it.
oh no, I love doing
I
that
had
though.
to
It's
eat them all
so
to my. It was so bad. I had to eat them all to myself. I
that's so
love
bad.
it.
I'm so bad. You
They
know,
left
like
them
those
on purpose.
you know those like middle-aged women who are like, I'm so bad, I have to eat this whole chocolate cake.
Oh,
That's
I'm
so
so
mean.
bad.
So
Oh
mean.
no.
Okay. Right, let's end this episode so we can chat like normal people. We're
Okay.
sick of you, viewer. We're sick of you. Thank you for
Merry
watching.
Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry
And I
Christmas.
hope whoever you're spending this time with, even if it's yourself, that you have a great winter and holiday.
Tell
Thank you.
us, what did you watch this movie and what did you think about it? What are your weird Christmas or holiday traditions?
What's your favorite Christmas horrors?
You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you're watching us on YouTube, which if you are, I'm so sorry. Um, you can check the description. And you'll see at the very top we have a list of important links, and they are about Palestinian solidarity and social justice. You will find BDS campaign, Palestine action, Palestine solidarity campaign, and some other great things. Underneath those, you will find our links to our social media. You'll find our Instagram, our Twitter that we don't use. We should probably delete that. Um, and
No, we'll keep the name, you know?
we'll keep the name, but we'll just never use it. I like that. Fuck Elon Musk. Anyway,
That's true.
um, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. From us to you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I will see you after the New Year.
Bye.